Good morning. The Parliament is called to order. I call on the Honorable Deputy Premier. Who's reading prayers? The Premier is not here. On the Honorable Deputy Premier to read prayers.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power are derived, we beseech thee so to direct and prosper the deliberations of the Parliament now assemble, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundations for the glory of thy name and for the safety, honour, and welfare of the people of these islands. Bless their sovereign, King Charles III, William, Prince of Wales, and all the royal family. Give grace to all exercise authority in our commonwealth, that peace and happiness, truth and justice, religion and piety may be established amongst us. Especially we pray for the governor of our islands, the premier, the speaker of the Parliament, the leader of the opposition, ministers of the cabinet, ex officio members, members of the Parliament, the Chief Justice, and members of the judiciary, that we may be enabled faithfully to perform the responsible duties of our high office. All this we ask for thy great name's sake. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon us and give us peace, now and always. Amen.
Please be seated.
Administration of oaths or affirmations. Oath of allegiance and due execution of office.
Please stand.
I, Gloria Michelle Macfield Nixon, do swear that I will well and truly serve His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, and the people of the Cayman Islands in the office of ex officio member of Parliament, so help me God. I, Gloria Michelle Macfield Nixon, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
Miss Gloria Macfield, having been duly sworn, welcome to Parliament as the last time as acting Deputy Governor. And please take your seat. Please be seated.
Reading by the Honourable Speaker of Messages and Announcements.
I have an apology from the Honourable Michael Miles, who will be absent for the remaining of this meeting. And members of Parliament, you will see a young lady, Janae, assisting Miss Leo in taking some photos. Don't be alarmed. She's one of our internists, and she's doing a session now with our PR department. So if she asks you for your photograph, smile broadly and tell her thanks.
Personal explanations. Presentation of papers and reports. 2025-2026 Annual Report of the Standing House Committee. To be laid on the table by the Chair of the Standing House Committee, the Honorable Minister of Health, Environment and Sustainability.
Minister of Health, Environment and Sustainability.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay the 2025-2026 Annual Report of the Standing House Committee.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Minister wish to speak thereto?
Just very briefly, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the Standing House Committee plays an important role in supporting the effective administration and operation of this Honourable House. The committee is responsible for considering matters relating to the services, facilities, and overall functioning of Parliament to ensure that members are adequately supported in carrying out their parliamentary roles. I wish to note that the committee has not been active since 2019, and as a result, the report before this Honourable House contains limited information regarding the committee's activities during the reporting period. Nevertheless, the tabling of this annual report is important in maintaining the records and accountability of the committee and ensuring transparency in the work of the Parliament. As Chair, I remain committed to working with the members of the committee to recommence its activities and ensure that it continues to effectively carry out its responsibilities in support of this Honourable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Office of the Auditor General, Cayman Islands, Public Sector Remuneration, April 2026, to be laid on the table by the Chairman of the Standing Public Accounts Committee, an elected member for Georgetown East.
Member for Georgetown East and Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honourable House a report from the Office of the Auditor General entitled Public Sector Remuneration, and it is dated April 2026.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Member wish to speak thereto?
Mr. Speaker, very briefly, just to say that this is a report of a fact-finding exercise. It does not contain any recommendations. The Public Accounts Committee was briefed on the report, but did not undertake any public inquiries simply because there's nothing there to really examine. It's for information purposes. And so I'm pleased to be able to lay this and commend the report to members of this Honourable Parliament.
Congratulations to the Public Accounts Committee. I take note that it is a report dated April 2026. Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
Ponciana Rehabilitation Center, Annual Report, Mean Achievements, January 2025 to December 2025, to be laid on the table by the Honourable Minister of Health, Environment and Sustainability.
Honourable Minister of Health, Environment and Sustainability.
Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to present to this Honourable House the first annual report of the Ponciana Rehabilitation Centre for the 12-month period ending 31st of December 2025.
So ordered. Does the Minister wish to speak thereto?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Ponciana Rehabilitation Centre is a residential mental health facility operating in East End, which received its first patients on the 24th of December 2024. The primary purpose of the facility is to provide a safe, therapeutic, and recovery-oriented environment for individuals with moderate to severe mental health conditions who require structured residential care. The facility is designed to support psychiatric stabilization, psychosocial rehabilitation, and reintegration into the community. To this end, the facility delivers evidence-based, person-centered psychiatric and psychosocial care to individuals aged 18 and older. It maintains monthly programs for all residents, which, in addition to psychiatric and therapeutic elements also emphasizes the development of functional living skills. Regular activities include sports sessions, community outings, arts and crafts, and computer training. Mr. Speaker, the facility's terms of reference, in accordance with the terms of reference, it is obligated to prepare an annual report each year to be reviewed by the Minister responsible for health. This report is to address the facility's various functions, which the Poinciana Mental Health Advisory Council is obligated to ensure are carried out. These are divided into three major categories: clinical duties, operational duties, and governance and compliance duties. The report indicates major successes in clinical duties, reflecting effective treatment planning and patient management, as well as in governance and compliance duties, reflecting strong oversight and community engagement. Residents have reported they feel safe, comfortable, and well cared for. However, as my colleagues are no doubt aware, the facility continues to operate below maximum capacity, with 4 out of 9 cottages currently occupied. This, Mr. Speaker, indicates that the facility continues to struggle with staffing. In fact, it is operating at less than half of the required staffing capacity. Mr. Speaker, the facility is taking various steps to resolve this, such as providing psychiatric training to upskill experienced local nursing assistants and registered nurses, and to expand recruitment outreach abroad. However, the facility's ability to hire and train much-needed staff is further limited, and this has required budget reallocations and preparation of business cases for additional funding. Further issues include delays in processing payments and procurements. However, Mr. Speaker, despite these difficulties, the Poinciana team remains resilient and committed, ensuring continuity of operations and maintaining a high standard of care throughout the year. I would like to take a moment to recognize the achievements of the staff of Poinciana Rehabilitation Center and the Poinciana Mental Health Advisory Council, and publicly thank them for their hard work and commitment. I would also invite the members of this Honourable House to review this report in more detail. I'd like to close, Mr. Speaker, with a reassurance to not only this Honourable House, but to the people of our islands, that the Ministry and the team at Poinciana Rehabilitation Centre will continue to work together to address existing challenges, build on the foundation that we have laid, and ensure that the facility's services are available to all who need it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
National Conservation Council Annual Report 2025 to be laid on the table by the Honourable Minister of Health, Environment and Sustainability.
Honourable Minister of Health, Environment and Sustainability.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay on the table the Annual Report 2025 for the National Conservation Council of the Cayman Islands.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Minister wish to speak thereto?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Annual Report 2025, Portfolio of Legal Affairs, to be laid on the table by the Honourable Attorney General, ex officio member responsible for the Portfolio of Legal Affairs.
Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. I beg to lay on the table of this Parliament the annual report for the Portfolio of Legal Affairs for the period ending December 31st, 2025.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Member wish to speak thereto?
Mr. Speaker, just to observe that the report and the accompanying financial statements is self-explanatory. The Auditor General found that the report was in order, and so in his opinion, it is an unqualified report. And, Mr. Speaker, the report itself speaks to the activity of the portfolio in relation to the Office of the Solicitor General, the Law School, Financial Reporting Authority, Legislative Drafting Department, the Law Revision Department, and Law Reform, and sets out clear lists of the activities over the years. And I would just like to thank the entire staff of the portfolio for their usual dedication and hard work during the reporting period and beyond. And thank you.
Financial Reporting Authority, 2025 Annual Report, Cayman Islands Government Portfolio of Legal Affairs, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Attorney General, ex officio member, responsible for the Portfolio of Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, beg leave to lay on the table the annual report for the Financial Reporting Authority for the period ending December 2025.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
Mr. Speaker, with your leave, yes, to point out so that as an administrative financial intelligence unit, the FRA is responsible, as we know, for receiving, requesting, analyzing, and disseminating financial information, disclosures concerning proceeds of criminal conduct or suspected proceeds of criminal conduct. Mr. Speaker, this is done domestically, well, the disclosures are made domestically as well as to foreign counterparts. So, Mr. Speaker, since 2017, the FRA is also responsible for ensuring the implementation of what is called targeted financial sanctions with respect to terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation financing, and other restrictive measures related to anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism, as well as proliferation matters, Mr. Speaker. The Governor of the Cayman Islands in law, sir, is the competent authority for implementation of financial sanctions measures implemented in the United Kingdom and those that are extended to the Cayman Islands via the various overseas orders in council. The Governor has delegated specified functions and powers to the Director of the FRA with regard to a number of sanctions regimes, including that involving Russia. Mr. Speaker, the FRA received during the relevant period 1,532 cases, suspicious activity reported, comprising 1,377 reports, SARS, from 337 reporting entities. They had 76 requests for information and 30 voluntary disclosures from 45 overseas financial intelligence units. Mr. Speaker, there were also 49 requests for information from local law enforcement agencies and competent authorities. The number of cases received increased by 10% compared to the number received during the 2024 period, sir. And that was 1,532 as against 1,395 for the previous period. Mr. Speaker, the main sources of SARS are virtual asset service providers, where the largest source of cases were 509 cases, or 33%. Then banks, there were 262 cases, or 17%, followed by investment funds, 160 cases, 10%. Company managers, corporate service providers, 110 cases, 7%. There were overseas financial intelligence unit reports, 106 cases, 7%. We had reports from mutual fund administrators, Mr. Speaker, 86 cases, or 6%. Law enforcement and competent authorities made 61 reports, for 4%. Trust companies, 55 cases, 4%. There were 40 reports from lawyers, Mr. Speaker, reflecting a 3%. Securities investment business, 28 cases, or 2%. Money services business, remittances and others, 14 cases, 1%. And insurance businesses, 13 cases, or 1%. Mr. Speaker, the reason for suspicion, 2025 was the fifth year that multiple reasons for suspicions for each case could be tracked. For the 1,532 cases that were received, 2,976 reasons for suspicions were recorded. And that's because, Mr. Speaker, there could be multiple reasons for one report. The 7 most common reasons for cases received were suspicious activities, 1,007 cases, fraud, 859 cases, money laundering, 281 cases, declined businesses, 1,298 cases, or 8%. Corruption, 102 cases. And sanctions, 91 cases, or 6%. Mr. Speaker, during the reporting period, the FRA performed initial analysis of some 1,587 cases. It also issued 175 directives pursuant to Section 4(2)(c) of the Proceedings of Crime Act to amplify or clarify information received or to respond to requests from an overseas financial intelligence unit. The FRA itself also made 21 requests for information, Mr. Speaker, to overseas financial reporting unit, 16 of which were made to assist law enforcement with their investigations. Mr. Speaker, the FRA also made 284 disclosures to law enforcement agencies or competent authorities and 254 disclosures to overseas financial intelligence unit. Mr. Speaker, the FRA spent substantial amount of time implementing what is called Defense Against Money Laundering consent regime that came into effect on the 2nd of January 2025, pursuant to an amendment to the Proceedings of Crime Act. And so, the FRA continued to actively participate in the work of the Egmont Group. The director's term as regional representative for the Americas region ended on July 2025. Of course, he did not seek re-elections. However, the director was elected as vice chair of the Technical Assistance and Training Workshop Group in July 2025 for a 2-year period. Mr. Speaker, I might just touch briefly on sanctions work. Russian sanctions. The FRA continued to see a number of sanctions being imposed by the United Kingdom and other countries. And in 2025, in response to the Russian invasion of the Ukraine in 24th of February 2022. In terms of the size, scale, and complexity, Mr. Speaker, there was quite a proliferation, if I might put it that way. As a result, it has been another challenging year for the sanctions implementation team due to the continued increase. During the reporting period, the FRA published 111 financial sanctions notices on its website. For the first time in September 2024, the FRA published specified ship sanctions notices under the Russian regime. During the reporting period, the FRA published 9 specified ship sanctions notices with a total of 438 ships specified. A specified ship, Mr. Speaker, specified ship is prohibited from entering a port in the Cayman Islands, or it may be given a movement or a port entry direction and can be detained and will be refused permission to register in the Cayman Islands shipping registry, or may have its existing registration terminated. Mr. Speaker, apart from the Russian sanctions, the FRA also continued the actions taken to address recommended actions in the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force 4th Round Mutual Evaluation Report directly related to targeted financial sanctions for terrorist reporting and proliferation financing. Mr. Speaker, this is a summary of the activity of the FRA for the relevant period, and I commend it to honourable members. Thank you.
Cayman Maritime Annual Report, January to December 2025, Maritime Authority of the Cayman Islands, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the annual report, January to December 2025, of the Maritime Authority of the Cayman Islands.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, Mr. Speaker, to first of all thank the Maritime Authority's competent board, their staff, ably led by Chief Executive Joelle Walton, for their intelligence, their marketability, and their regulation. One point to note in the report to just continue to show the strength of this authority and how Cayman continues to punch above its weight in another arena. In the Chief Executive's summary forward at the beginning, third to the last paragraph, we continue to dominate the super yacht new build market with roughly 70% of the global order book supervised under the Cayman Islands flag. That is astounding for an authority by these three islands. Thank you for their service. Thank you for their board service. I commend this report to this Honorable House.
Thank you.
Summary report, CPA Small Branches Capacity Building Workshop, Maldives, 27th to the 29th of April, 2026, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Deputy Speaker, elected member for Georgetown West.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, elected member for Georgetown West.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this honorable House the report on CPA Small Branches Capacity Building Workshop, Maldives, 27th to the 29th of April, 2026.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Deputy Speaker wish to speak thereto?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I rise today to present my report on my participation in the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Small Branch Capacity Building Workshop held in Mali, Maldives from the 27th to the 29th of April 2026. At the onset, I wish to acknowledge my colleague, Parliamentary Secretary, Ms. Julie Hunter, who accompanied me as part of our delegation to this important workshop. It was indeed a privilege for us to represent our Parliament and our country, engage with fellow parliamentarians from across the Commonwealth, and exchange knowledge, experiences, and the best practices aimed at strengthening our parliamentary institutions. Honorable Speaker, the CPA Small Branch Capacity Building Workshop was designed to strengthen the effectiveness, independence, and resilience of parliaments in small jurisdictions, where promoting greater cooperation amongst CPA small branches. Throughout the workshop, delegates engaged in insightful discussions on several important areas, including parliamentary independence, the separation of powers between the executive, legislature, and judiciary, accountability mechanisms, the effectiveness of parliament committees, democratic resilience, institutional capacity building, and the use of digital innovation to improve parliamentary operations and public engagement. A significant area of discussion was public finance oversight and budget processes. The workshop highlighted the critical role of the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, in ensuring transparency and accountability in public expenditure. It also reinforced the responsibility of Parliament to effectively scrutinize government spending, national budgets, and fiscal planning to ensure responsible and transparent government is adhered to. Honorable Speaker, one of the most valuable aspects of this workshop was the opportunity to interact with fellow delegates from small jurisdictions who share similar challenges and aspirations. The exchange of experiences, ideas, and practical solutions remind us that despite our size, our commitment to democracy, accountability, and good governance remains very strong. The workshop also demonstrated the importance of building and nurturing relationships with fellow parliamentarians throughout the Commonwealth. These professional networks are invaluable as they encourage ongoing dialogue, cooperation, and sharing of solutions to common challenges faced by small jurisdictions. I would also like to take this opportunity to place on record my sincere appreciation for my colleague, Parliamentary Secretary Ms. Julie Hunter, whose contribution throughout the workshop was exceptional. Mrs. Hunter remained actively engaged in every session, constantly asking thoughtful and insightful questions that challenge presenters and participants alike to think more deeply about the issues under discussion. Throughout the workshop, both Ms. Hunter and I were fully immersed in the proceedings. We actively participate in discussions, were prepared to ask the difficult questions when necessary, and share practical examples and case studies drawn from our own experiences in the Cayman Islands. Our contributions were well received and often stimulated further discussions among delegates from across the Commonwealth. Indeed, there were occasions when it seemed that the Cayman Islands delegation was leading much of the conversation, not through volume alone, but through the quality of our engagement, the relevance of our contribution, and our willingness to share both our successes and our challenges as well. We were prepared to showcase the work of our Parliament and to demonstrate that while we may be a small jurisdiction, we have valuable experiences and perspectives to contribute to the wider Commonwealth parliamentary community. I believe our active participation reflected positively on this honorable House and reinforced the reputation of the Cayman Islands as a jurisdiction committed to strong parliamentary democracy, accountability, transparency, and good governance. While the workshop was highly informative and beneficial, it was observed that the program covered a considerable amount of detail and complex material within a limited 3-day period. It is recommended that future workshops provide case studies and supporting materials to delegates in advance and allocate additional time for discussion, reflection, and meaningful engagement. This will enable participants to prepare more effectively and gain greater benefit from the sessions. Honorable Speaker, before I conclude, I wish to especially encourage our new members of Parliament to take advantage of opportunities such as the CPA Small Branches Workshop and other parliamentary development programs. These experiences are invaluable in broadening our understanding of parliamentary practices, strengthening our knowledge of governance and oversight, and exposing us to different approaches and best practices from across the Commonwealth. The knowledge acquired and the relationship built through these engagements not only contribute to our personal growth as parliamentarians, but also strengthen our Parliament as an institution and improve our ability to effectively serve the people we represent. I wish to place on record my sincere appreciation to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, the Parliament of the Maldives, and all those involved in organizing and hosting this successful and informative workshop. I also wish to acknowledge and thank Madam Clerk, Mrs. Zena Marin, for her efforts in coordinating and facilitating our travel arrangements, which contributed greatly to the success of our participation. I further extend my gratitude to the honorable members for the confidence placed in me and my colleague, Parliamentary Secretary, Mrs. Julie Hunter, to represent our nation at this very important forum, Mr. Speaker. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I respectfully submit this report to the House. I thank you.
I have a request from the Parliamentary Secretary, Ms. Julie, to add a few comments.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for this opportunity. And I just would like to say that the Honourable Deputy Speaker, Paulina McGaugh-Lumsden, so articulately outlined our report and our feelings on the conference itself. I just rise to just thank our Parliament here for the opportunity that were afforded to us to go attend the conference. And as she said, it was very, very beneficial. And I thank all of those that were involved in selecting us and giving us that opportunity. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to Ms. Zena and all the members of the Parliament here in Grand Cayman for this opportunity. Good day.
2026 to 2027 signed budget documents, plan and estimates for the 2026 and 2027 financial years, budget statements for the 2026 and 2027 financial years, ownership agreements for the 2026 and 2027 financial years, purchase agreements for the 2026 and 2027 financial years, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the government, I beg to lay on the table of this Honourable House the finalised 2026 and 2027 budget documents.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Minister wish to speak thereto?
Hold it tight, Sarge. I do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Section 22 of the Public Management and Finance Act, the Cabinet is required to agree to government's finalised budget documents, which consist of budget statements, purchase agreements, ownership agreements, and the plan and action estimates with chief officers, statutory authorities, and government companies and non-governmental suppliers. This extensive process has been carried out, and the documents have now been tabled. As you know, Mr. Speaker, the initial draft budget documents with respect to the 2026 and 2027 financial years were tabled in this Honourable House on the 6th of November 2025, and during the budget review process, I committed to tabling the signed budget documents. Since the initial tabling of the documents in November 2025, the budget documents have been updated to correct minor typos and provide enhanced information that resulted from the scrutiny by the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, the copies of the finalised 2026 and 2027 budget documents are available on the Minister of Finance and Economic Development's website, which is www.gov.ky/finance. Additionally, the documents have been emailed to Parliament for distribution to honourable members. As you know, Mr. Speaker, this process takes a lot of time because as we get all of those ownership agreements signed up, especially with non-government suppliers, that is an extensive process. And of course, this is a normal part of what has happened now for decades. And so I offer the final version and commend those to members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
(2025) Annual Report, Office of the Commissioner of Police, to be laid on the table by the Honourable Acting Deputy Governor, ex officio member responsible for the portfolio of the Civil Service.
Honourable Acting Deputy Governor.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honourable House the 2025 Annual Report for the Office of the Commissioner of Police.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, other than just to commend the men and women within the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard, and the Cayman Islands Regiment for their exceptional work in keeping these islands amongst the safest places in the world to live, to visit, and to work. I would also like to thank the Chief Officer and Commissioner of Police, Mr. Kurt Walton, for his highly effective leadership. Thank you, sir.
Civil Aviation Authority of the Cayman Islands 2025 Annual Report, Excellence and Innovation in Aviation Regulation, fiscal year ending 31st December 2025. To be laid on the table by the Honourable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Honourable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table of this Honourable House the Civil Aviation Authority of the Cayman Islands 2025 Annual Report.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, Mr. Speaker, to thank again, in this case, similar to the Maritime Authority, the Civil Aviation's board and their staff, ably led by Mr. Richard Smith, for all of their work to again improve in another area, this time in the air, that the Cayman Islands continues to punch above its weight. The work that they do in terms of aircraft registration and regulation and the context that they have worldwide is extraordinary. I'd also want to point members to page 8. A recent interaction that I had, page 8 of the report sets out their main stakeholders. And one of them, it says ASSI, A-S-S-I. That stands for the Air Safety Support International. They are an arm of the UK CAA that helps to regulate overseas territory civil aviations. And I just went, ASSI. Here's Safety Support International. The point I'm making is that I was at a recent dinner where they were here on the island, and to see the camaraderie between them and the CAA staff, they were actual colleagues. It wasn't an adversarial relationship whatsoever. They were able to communicate in very strong terms how long their relationship goes back, and that regulator was able to show that Cayman is a leader, a civil aviation authority that it believes in, and will continue to have a trusted relationship. So sometimes we may think of regulation in the context of traditional business lines, investment funds, banking, but there's another example where there's a sterling reputation and relationship of the overseas regulator with our own civil aviation authority. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With that, I commend this report to this honorable House.
Cayman Islands Monetary Authority Annual Report 2025 to be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table of this honorable House the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority 2025 Annual Report.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Briefly, Mr. Speaker, again, same lines. I thank the prior board that was in charge for 2025 for ably managing the Monetary Authority and also day-to-day management by the formidable Cindy Scotland as CEO. The work of the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority is self-explanatory, but they are our primary financial services regulator and continue with private sector participation and being well regulated, continue to show strong growth in our primary economic pillar. So thank you very much to all of the staff at the Monetary Authority, and I wish the new board recently appointed, chaired by Anna Gabo, all the very best and success as they continue to take this important, integral authority from strength to strength. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With that, I commend this report to this honorable House.
Auditors Oversight Authority Annual Report for the year ended 31st December 2025. To be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this honorable House the annual report for the year ended 31 December 2025 of the Auditors Oversight Authority.
Ordered. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, Mr. Speaker, to say that in hopefully earnest, this will be the final or next to final report of this authority that has served this purpose. With that, I commend the report to this honorable House.
Thank you.
Cayman Islands Stock Exchange report for the fiscal year ending 31st of December 2025 to be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Honorable Premier, Member of Financial Services and Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the Cayman Islands Stock Exchange report for the fiscal year ending 31 December 2025.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Again, similar lines as prior reports that have been laid, Mr. Speaker. I thank the board, chaired by the ever-present Anthony Travers. I thank the leadership at management level by its CEO, former member Marco Archer. Again, this is another area in which Cayman Islands continues to punch above its weight. In conversation recently with the CEO of the stock exchange, they're beginning to see even new lines of business coming out of Asia. So I thank them, first of all, for their work in 2025 and wish them continued success in 2026. With that, I commend this report to this Honorable House.
Ministry of Financial Services and Commerce, Cayman Islands Government, Annual Report and Financial Statements, 2025 financial year. To be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the Ministry of Financial Services and Commerce Annual Report for the financial year of 2025.
Ordered. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, Mr. Speaker, just to thank the ministry for their extraordinary work in 2025, led expertly by none other than Dr. Dax Basteo as Chief Officer, who is quiet at times, but extremely resourceful and extremely intelligent. Thank him for his leadership. I thank them for the recent appointment of a Caymanian DCO, Michelle Bahadur. Thank her for assuming that post. So we'll continue to take this ministry from strength to strength because it is the ministry that helps coordinate all of the financial services stakeholders in the private sector and in the public sector. That level of coordination does not happen by accident. It happens with hard work, it happens with collaboration, and it happens with great leadership. So thank you to all of the staff in the ministry, and again, thank you, Dr. Dax. With that, Mr. Speaker, I commend this report to this Honorable House.
Hazard Management, Cayman Islands Government, Annual Report 2025, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Honorable Premier, Minister of Financial Services and Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the Hazard Management of the Cayman Islands Annual Report 2025.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Premier wish to speak thereto?
Very briefly, Mr. Speaker, to thank this agency for their hard work. They're another one of those agencies that you don't really understand exactly how integral they are until something happens. Usually something big happens or is going to happen. Led very ably by Danny Coleman. Because their name is Hazard Management, I was going to bite my tongue from calling her a live wire. But anybody who knows Danny knows that she's quite the live wire because she is passionate about leading the country through impossible, what seems to be impossible situations, and her team do it with excellence and grace. So thank you to the full staff complement led by Danny Coleman. With that, I commend the 2025 report of Hazard Management to this Honorable House.
Cayman Islands Government Annual HR Report 2023, Employee Information and Human Resources Activity for the Civil Service, 1st of January to the 31st of December 2023, published by the Portfolio of Civil Service. To be laid on the table by the Honorable Acting Deputy Governor, ex officio member responsible for the Portfolio of the Civil Service.
Honorable Acting Deputy Governor.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the Cayman Islands Government Annual HR Report for 2023.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
No, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll reserve my comments for the most recent report.
Cayman Islands Government Annual HR Report 2024, Employee Information and Human Resources Activity for the Civil Service, 1st of January to the 31st of December 2024, published by the Portfolio of the Civil Service, March 2026, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Acting Deputy Governor, ex-officio member responsible for the Portfolio of Civil Service.
Honourable Acting Deputy Governor.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the Cayman Islands Government Annual HR Report 2024.
Ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
No, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I reserve my comments for the more recent report.
Cayman Islands Annual HR Report 2025, Employee Information and Human Resources Activity for the Civil Service, 1st of January to the 31st of December 2025, published by the Portfolio of the Civil Service, April 2026, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Acting Deputy Governor, ex-officio member responsible for the Portfolio of the Civil Service.
So, Honourable Deputy Governor.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honorable House the Cayman Islands Government Annual HR Report 2025.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at this time, I wish to offer comments on the Cayman Islands Government's Annual Human Resources Reports for 2023, 2024, and 2025, with particular focus on the most recent report as it provides the most up-to-date insights. As you are aware, the Portfolio of the Civil Service has responsibility for providing corporate HR management information to support decision-making within government. As part of this service, HR annual reports are produced. These reports contain detailed information relating to operational HR matters throughout the prior year and statistical trends over a number of years. Mr. Speaker, by the end of 2025, the Civil Service employed 4,988 individuals, accounting for 60% of the entire public sector workforce, with public servants within statutory authorities and government-owned companies comprising the remaining 40%. Bringing the total head count of the public service to 8,302 persons. This total represents an increase of 287 employees, or 3.6% across the entire public service, reflecting targeted recruitment to meet service demand while maintaining fiscal discipline and value for money. Mr. Speaker, the public services still stand as the largest employer of Caymanians. We are proud to have maintained this standard and aim to further grow our already high percentage. By the end of 2025, the number of Caymanians employed within the public service was 5,872, representing 70.7% of all employees. Within the core civil service, Caymanian representation remains steady at 69.3%, reflecting a total of 3,457 Caymanian civil servants. I note with pride that this percentage remains strong and indeed significantly higher than the Caymanian representation within the working age population and the labor force, which stood at 45.3% and 39.1% respectively, based on the Economics and Statistics Office's Fall 2025 Labor Force Survey. Mr. Speaker, the civil service continues to operate within a diverse workforce spanning ages 17 to 76-year-olds. The increase in the retirement age has delivered ongoing benefits for employees, with approximately 11% of civil servants now continuing to serve beyond the former retirement age of 60. This extended participation not only allows experienced employees to continue contributing meaningfully to the success and development of our country, but also ensures the retention of valuable institutional knowledge, supports mentorship of younger employees, and strengthens continuity across the service. In this way, the civil service benefits from both the energy of its younger workforce and the wisdom and experience of those who have served for many years. Mr. Speaker, the civil service continues to demonstrate strong Caymanian representation at its highest levels, with 89% of chief officers, and I would mention all 100% representing ministries and portfolios, and 84% of heads of department being Caymanian. Mr. Speaker, between 2023 to 2025, the female representation within the core civil service has remained steady at 56.2%, which is 7.3% higher than the percentage reported in the ESO's labor force workforce for the female working age population. Not only do women represent a high percentage of the civil service, but they are also advancing in their career development and skills. Of the 77% of Caymanians promoted in 2025, 56% of the promotions were achieved by Caymanian women. Mr. Speaker, Caymanians still hold 100% of the deputy chief officer roles, save for equivalent specialist positions which have other primary designations, such as Deputy Auditor General, Deputy Solicitor General, and Deputy Ombudsman. The civil service continues to uphold its Caymanian First policy for hiring, where Caymanians who are ranked broadly equivalent to their foreign counterparts are appointed. And the civil service also continues to steadfastly maintain its ability to hire returning Caymanian graduates without open competition. This initiative provides our returning scholars with opportunities to utilize their newly gained knowledge within the civil service as they start or advance their careers. Another pathway to employment for returning graduates is the Civil Service's Emerging Talent Program, which in 2025 welcomed 3 new Caymanian graduates who joined the Department of Environmental Health, the Mosquito Research and Control Unit, and the Ministry of Health, Environment, and Sustainability. Through this program, graduates gain the practical experience needed to facilitate permanent appointment within their chosen fields. Mr. Speaker, as you and members of this honorable House are aware, the Civil Service also hosts an annual internship program, typically welcoming approximately 150 to 200 young Caymanians each year, providing them with valuable opportunities to gain practical work experience within the civil service. In 2025, more than 200 Caymanian interns were hosted across 59 civil service entities, providing them with opportunities to contribute to service delivery and make a meaningful difference in the community. This program not only allows interns to demonstrate their capabilities, but also enables us as an organization to showcase the value of a career in the civil service. When we make the right impression, these experiences often lead to interns transitioning into full-time employment. Wonderful examples of this are Ms. Janae Whitaker and Ms. Helen Rankin, both of whom gained valuable experience as CIG interns during their studies. In the Deputy Governor's remarks last year, Ms. Whitaker was recognized with the Passion Award for her unwavering enthusiasm and dedication during her internship. She has since completed her studies, returned home, and begun her career within the civil service. Similarly, Ms. Rankin joined the portfolio of the civil service as an intern and has since returned to our portfolio, where she now serves as a full-time HR assistant. These are just 2 examples among many of our interns who have gained experience within the civil service and returned as fully employed, productive, and dedicated civil servants. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to highlight the ongoing efforts to position the civil service as an employer of choice and to offer competitive benefits that attract and retain Caymanian talent. One of the key ways we are achieving this is through our comprehensive total compensation package, which includes a salary scale that provides remuneration above the minimum wage, a 12% pension contribution, non-contributory health care benefits, and annual leave entitlements of no less than 18 days. Our compensation package remains competitive, particularly for entry-level and lower-skilled roles, and continues to strengthen the civil services position as an employer of choice. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, the civil service benefits package was further enhanced through the implementation of 3 pay and reward initiatives, namely a 5% cost of living increase for the civil service. This is helping us to mitigate the impacts of continuing inflation, particularly post-COVID. The introduction of a minimum monthly salary of $3,000 a month, which benefited over 300 persons previously on our biweekly wage scale. And the payment of a one-off honorarium of $500 in December in recognition of civil service productivity. Between December 2023 and December 2025, the average annual salary increased by $5,146 for the year, going from $58,215 to $63,361. 2025 marked the 11th consecutive year that average civil service salaries increased. By the end of 2025, all employees fully transitioned to our monthly salaries, removing the biweekly wage grades that used to exist within the CIG pay scale, and adding the efficiency of removing those 26 biweekly payrolls to now having just our monthly payroll. Mr. Speaker, despite the growth and progress the civil service has made, there are still challenges to recruit Caymanians into skilled, technical, specialist, and commercial roles. This continues to be addressed through strategies and career development pathways. One of the most notable milestones came in July 2025 when POCS introduced the succession planning policy, a major step forward in formalizing pathways that enable and support Caymanians in advancing their careers within the civil service. Mr. Speaker, the civil service has made significant strides in growing and enhancing its services, improving efficiency, and investing in its people by equipping civil servants with tools needed to deliver outcomes, develop professionally, and to provide high-quality service to the community. Caymanians continue to lead, to grow, and to advance within the civil service and the wider public sector. Countless testimonials attest to their achievement and the breadth of skills and capabilities they bring to their roles. By investing in our Caymanian civil servants, we are not only supporting their individual growth, but also strengthening the civil service with a future workforce that is better prepared, more confident, and deeply connected to the needs of our community. As I prepare to assume the role of Deputy Governor and head of the civil service, I do so with deep humility, pride, and a profound sense of responsibility. It is both an honor and a privilege to build upon the strong foundation established over the past decade and to continue serving the people of the Cayman Islands. Having witnessed the remarkable growth and evolution of our public and civil service, particularly under our retiring Deputy Governor, the Honorable Franz Manderson, I am inspired by the caliber of individuals who make up this organization, public servants who bring passion and purpose to their work every day. I am excited to take the reins at this important juncture and to lead alongside such talented and committed professionals as we continue striving toward excellence. As a proud Caymanian, I am especially motivated to contribute to the ongoing journey of transformation, ensuring that our civil service continues to deliver outstanding results and advances toward becoming a truly world-class organization. I look forward to working collaboratively across the civil service to build on our achievements, to embrace innovation, and to serve our community and government with distinction. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cayman National Cultural Foundation, Annual Report and Accounts, 31st of December 2025, to be laid on the table by the Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. The National Gallery of the Cayman Islands, Annual Report and Accounts, 31st of December 2025. The Cayman Islands National Museum 2025 Annual Report, We Are the Living Connection to Cayman's Past, all to be laid on the table by the Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage.
Honorable Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honourable House the following reports: the Cayman National Cultural Foundation Annual Report and Accounts, 31st of December 2025, the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands Annual Report and Accounts, 31st of December 2025, and the Cayman Islands National Museum 2025 Annual Report.
Order. Does the Honourable Minister wish to speak thereto?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Section 52(8) of the Public Management and Finance Act 2026 revision, it is my honor to present to this Honourable House the annual reports and audited financial statements of the Cayman Islands National Museum, the National Gallery, Cayman Islands, and the Cayman National Cultural Foundation for the year ended 31st of December 2025. Mr. Speaker, the Cayman Islands National Museum, National Gallery of the Cayman Islands, and the Cayman National Cultural Foundation are statutory authorities operating within the remit of the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. These three entities primarily contribute to the Caymanian identity, culture, and heritage under the 2026-2028 Government Broad Outcomes Initiative, Programs, and Services. In alignment with the broad outcomes, the work of these entities significantly contributes to the critical need to preserve, celebrate, and share Caymanian cultural identity. Under this priority, each authority plays a crucial role in fostering connections between generations of our people through honoring, celebrating, and safeguarding our Caymanian cultural heritage. Additionally, they primarily contribute to the Ministry's priority of awareness and preservation of our culture and heritage. Mr. Speaker, in regards to the annual reports, the Cayman Islands National Museum received a qualified opinion on the basis of its peppercorn lease and its heritage assets. As of the 1st of January 2025, the IPSAS 43 lease requiring important entities to recognize right of the use assets and related lease liabilities of any existing or new leases. IPSAS 43 also require leases to be recognized below. IPSAS 43 also requires leases to recognize below market leases at market rates and revenue for non-exchange transactions. It requires that the difference between the contractual values and the prevailing market values be recognized as revenue when recognizing the right of the use asset. Management was unable to obtain reliable market rate references to determine the values necessary to reflect the leases under the new IPSAS requirements. The financial statements therefore do not reflect, in respect of the peppercorn lease on the museum building, the right of the use asset and lease liability in respects of IPSAS 43 for this lease. The related gain, both earned and deferred, arising from the benefits of the lease of the museum building at nominal rate, the depreciation on the right of use assets, and interest on leases in respect of lease assets liabilities. The effects of this matter are material but not pervasive to the financial statements. In relation to the heritage assets, IPSAS 45 property, plant, and equipment effective for annual reporting periods beginning on or after 1st of January 2025 requires heritage assets to be recognized on initial application where they meet the definition of an asset and where a cost or value can be measured reliably. The museum's accounting policy for property and equipment results in non-recognition of heritage assets because these could not be reliably measured. Accordingly, it was viewed that the non-recognition of these assets, heritage assets, represents a material departure from IPSAS 45. As a result, heritage assets and accumulated surpluses at 31st of December 2025 are materially understated. The effects of this matter are material but not pervasive to the financial statements. National Gallery, Cayman Islands received a qualified opinion on the basis that IPSAS 45 property, plant and equipment effective for annual reporting periods beginning on or after 1st of January 2025 requires heritage assets to be recognized on initial application where they meet the definition of an asset and where cost or value can be measured reliably, including through the use of available measurement techniques. IPSAS 45 permits non-recognition only where reliable measurement is not practicable at the date of initial application. The Gallery's accounting policy for heritage assets recognizes only those acquired on or after January 1st, 2019. A significant portion of heritage assets held have not been recognized in the statement of financial position on the basis that it is considered these assets cannot be reliably measured. Management has not provided sufficient appropriate evidence that reliable measurement is not practicable at the date of the initial application. Accordingly, the non-recognition of these heritage assets represents a material departure from IPSAS 45. As a result, heritage assets, total assets, and accumulated surplus at the end of as of 31st of December 2025 are materially understated. The effects of this matter are material but not pervasive to the financial statements. The Cayman National Cultural Foundation also received a qualified opinion on the basis that the Foundation's property and equipment balance in the statement of financial position includes heritage assets accounting to $576,179, of which $412,237 represents a collection of artworks. The artworks register include 36 paintings to which no cost or valuation has been assigned. Therefore, these are not recognized in the financial statements. In addition, there is an unreconciled differences of $24,822 between the artworks collection balance in the financial statements and the underlying artworks register. Consequently, Auditor General was unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to determine whether any adjustments was necessary to the heritage assets and the general fund balances in the financial statement. Mr. Speaker, it is evident that under the implementation of IPSAS standards in January 2025, the previous scope for exclusion of heritage assets was removed. Unmeasurable assets are now mandatory for recognition if they meet asset criteria, but if they truly cannot be measured reliably, public sector entities are granted temporary non-recognition paired with enhanced mandatory disclosures. Despite not having the capacity in human or capital resources to reliably measure these assets, these entities were not granted temporary non-recognition status paired with enhanced mandatory disclosures. The Ministry is assessing this situation and working with these entities to address these matters as quickly as possible. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my wholehearted appreciation to the Cayman Islands National Museum, the National Gallery Cayman Islands, and the Cayman Islands Cultural Foundation for their hard and ongoing dedication. I invite all members and the listening public to review the reports in detail and to take time to visit these important cultural institutions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ministry of Social Development and Innovation, 2024 Annual Report, Impact and Progress, to be laid on the table by the Honourable Minister of Social Development and Innovation.
Honourable Minister of Social Development and Innovation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on the Honourable House the annual report of the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation for the 2025 year ending fiscal year.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak thereto?
No, sir, Mr. Speaker. Just to really just thank the Chief Officer and the Ministry staff for the hard work that they've done getting this report together.
Ministry of Social Development and Innovation, 2025 Annual Report, Change and Growth, to be laid on the table by the Honourable Minister of Social Development and Innovation.
Honourable Minister of Social Development and Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to lay on the table of this Honourable House the annual report of the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation for the 2025 fiscal year.
So ordered. Does the Honourable Minister wish to speak thereto?
Well, only briefly, sir, to say that the report is self-explanatory, and I encourage all members of this House and the public to read it, and to also, again, thank the Chief Officer and the Ministry staff for the work in putting this report together.
I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate all those responsible for getting these reports tabled in a timely manner, particularly within the statutory requirements of the law. Congratulations.
Urgent questions?
None.
Questions to members of the government? The Deputy Leader of the Opposition, elected member for Georgetown Central, to ask the Honourable Deputy Governor, Honourable Acting Deputy Governor, ex officio member responsible for the portfolio of the Civil Service, question number 1.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and elected member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, everyone. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 1 on the order paper standing in my name to the Honourable Acting Deputy Governor. Can the Honourable Acting Deputy Governor say what is the civil service policy on construction work carried out on weekends in residential neighbourhoods by the government-sponsored entities?
Honourable Acting Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, through you, there is no civil service-wide policy that specifically authorizes or prohibits construction activities on weekends by government ministries, portfolios, offices, statutory authorities, government companies, or other government-sponsored entities. Construction activities undertaken by government entities are generally governed by the applicable terms of the construction contract, planning and development approvals, environmental and public health requirements, occupational health and safety obligations, and any conditions imposed by the relevant regulatory authorities. Contractors engaged by government entities are expected to comply with all applicable laws, regulations, permit conditions, and contractual requirements while carrying out works. Where construction projects are located within or adjacent to residential communities, government entities seek to minimize disruption to residents by considering factors such as working hours, noise impacts, traffic management, public safety, and project scheduling. In most cases, normal construction activities are scheduled during standard weekday working hours. However, weekend work may be permitted where it is necessary to maintain project schedules, address operational requirements, complete time-sensitive activities, mitigate safety risk, respond to emergency situations, or reduce the overall duration of disruption to the public. The Department of Public Works has advised that for government capital projects under its management, construction schedules are established on a project-by-project basis. Any requirement for weekend work is assessed having regard to contractual obligations, program delivery requirements, health and safety considerations, weather-related impacts, operational constraints, and the potential effects on surrounding communities. Contractors are expected to employ reasonable measures to minimize inconvenience to nearby residents whenever weekend works are required. Accordingly, while there is no overarching civil service policy that either mandates or prohibits weekend construction activity by government-sponsored entities, all such works are expected to be undertaken in accordance with applicable legal, regulatory, contractual, and community impact considerations with due regard given to the interest of neighboring residents. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you may, can the Honourable Deputy Speaker respond to, Deputy Governor, I apologize, where she says, as such works are expected to be undertaken in accordance with the applicable legal, regulatory, contractual, and community impacts considerations with due regard to given to the interests of the neighboring residents. Can the Honourable Deputy Governor say what legal regulatory considerations are contractors obligated to?
Honourable Deputy Governor.
Not being a contractor myself, I would imagine, sir, that there are all of the codes that apply to any construction project. So the building codes that would relate to a project, anything that is specified in their permitting requirements, those would be the legal standards that our contractors would have to bear in mind in terms of the legal requirements. Also, sir, I would point out that if there were any complaints, those are managed as well through our ombudsman for complaints, our complaints processes. And if a matter arose to the level of creating a noise nuisance, then there are laws in the country as well that persons can avail themselves through the police.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That last comment is exactly the problem that we're having, because we don't have control over noise complaints now. But that being said, Mr. Speaker, can the Deputy Governor note that weekend work may be permitted to maintain project schedules or, quote-unquote, address operational requirements? Can she clarify if simple project delays due to poor planning by the contractor qualify for a valid reason to override the peace and quiet of residential neighborhoods on a Sunday?
Mr. Speaker, that was a very impassioned question. I would ask the member if he could clarify. I want to make sure that I answer what it is he's seeking to get at here. If he could clarify, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Well, Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll repeat the question again for the Honourable Acting Deputy Governor. The Honourable Acting Deputy Governor noted that weekend work may be permitted to maintain project schedules or, and I quote again, address operational requirements. Can she clarify if simple project delays due to bad planning or poor planning by contractors justify or qualify a valid reason to override the peace and quiet of residential neighbors on a Sunday?
Honourable Member, I think you're asking for an opinion there, and I don't think the member can give an opinion on that, I think. So unless you can reframe the question to some government regulation or something that you believe people are contrary, I don't think you can put her on the spot for an opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try to rephrase it, because you're right. The problem is that there is no regulations around it. So it's kind of hard for me to highlight that outside of the noise complaints components. But I'm only going based on what she's saying, which is there is justification. And if there's a criteria upon which poor planning creates a criteria for the justification to do so. But, Mr. Speaker, maybe if I ask the next question, it may be able to help her a little bit. Mr. Speaker, given that the Honourable Deputy Governor, Acting Deputy Governor, has confirmed that there is no civil service-wide policy regarding weekend construction by government contracted entities, do you agree that this creates an inconsistent, ad hoc approach that leaves residential neighborhoods vulnerable to unprecedented disruptions? Will the portfolio of civil service commit to drafting a standardized policy to establish clear, uniform, quiet hours across all government-sponsored projects to ensure the peace and quiet of residential neighborhoods?
Honourable Member, I think if you're qualifying that she will consider, because I don't think she will be in a position to ask to answer definitively on behalf of the government.
So, Mr. Speaker, we find ourselves here in an interesting position. This question has been directed to the civil service, and we are now getting into works that contractors might be doing as well. What I will say is that we are obliged to ensure that when we are contracting for works to be done, that we achieve value for money, that things are done within budget, that they are done to the quality standards that have been specified, and that they are done within the deadlines that have been provided. Much like someone contracting within the private sector, those are the terms that we are held accountable for. There are provisions if persons feel that any specific project is creating a nuisance. We have established by law procedures for which those things can be addressed. But I am not in a position to speak to government policy on its capital projects, because that is also outside of my area of responsibility.
Honorable Deputy Governor, member for Georgetown Central. Deputy Leader of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that role is being adequately filled by my good learned friend. Mr. Speaker.
And I have no authority to promote you.
Mr. Speaker, with that being said, maybe it's appropriate for me to refile the question to the Honourable Premier, whereby the ministers would be, actually, Mr. Speaker, I think it is falling under the right hands, because as the public will know, ministers cannot sign contracts with contractors. It has to be the chief officers. So therefore, though the money is coming from core government, chief officers have to sign those contracts.
No preambles. Ask your question.
Mr. Speaker, if I'm not going to get an answer, I never got an answer to my question.
You have an answer question.
We're trying to work out together where the answer needs to come from, because there's been no answer thus far.
Any other supplementary?
No, Mr. Speaker, I apologize, but is the Honourable Deputy Governor saying that she cannot commit to a civil service implemented criteria for any government-sponsored contracts? That's the question.
No. Honourable Acting Deputy Governor.
Mr. Speaker, I think I have answered the question as to the existing standards by law that the civil service is due to uphold. The honourable member began to ask if we could note something in terms of concerns regarding weekend work, and I can commit to noting that. And if the government policy on that should extend to providing provisions for which the civil service will need to contract going forward, then I will, of course, uphold that. So it has been noted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next question.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can I ask the acting DG also that when she's making that note, can she give us the amount of times that the Scranton project was going on the weekend also? How many days on that, please?
No crosstalk, please. We've been doing well for the year. Let's not get caught up. Next question.
The elected member for Red Bay to ask the Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs, question number 2.
Honourable member for Red Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I ask the questions, I just want to make sure that there's none error on here. I submitted the question to the Minister for Health, Environment and Sustainability, and seems to have been changed to the Minister for District Administration and Home Affairs. If that's correct, then I will continue to ask it.
Yes. There's a change and made in that because of the legal requirements.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs, question number 2. Can the Honourable Minister advise on the full list of specific single-use plastics that the government intends to ban and when this ban will come into effect.
Honorable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the answer. In April 2026, in commemoration of Earth Day, Cabinet granted approval for drafting instructions to 1. Amend the Customs and Border Control Prohibited Goods Order 2025 revision and the Customs Tariff Act 2026 revision to prohibit the importation of specific single-use plastics, and to 2. Provide for an exception to allow temporary importation of single-use plastics in emergency situations. Whilst Cabinet has endorsed the policy direction and approved the drafting of the legislation to ban the importation of single-use plastics into the Cayman Islands, the government remains committed to a thorough public consultation process. It is vital that businesses, residents, and industry partners have the opportunity to provide input and inform the implementation of these measures. As a result, the government has not determined which single-use plastics will ultimately be prohibited. That determination will be informed through the legislative development process and the feedback received through public consultation. At this stage, 8 commonly used single-use plastic products have been identified for consideration. And while this list is not intended to be an exhaustive list, these products are among the most widely used single-use plastics across the Cayman Islands. These include small plastic grocery checkout bags, does not include large plastic shopping bags, example from hardware department stores, plastic individual use straws, plastic stir sticks, polystyrene cups, plastic chopsticks, plastic helium-filled balloons and related balloon sticks, sky lanterns, and polystyrene clamshell food containers. As the government remains in the early stages of the legislative drafting process, the public will be kept informed as this work progresses and consultation approaches. We are committed to meaningful engagement with businesses, residents, and other interested parties, and recognize the importance of allowing adequate time for individuals and organizations to minimize any disruption and prepare for future changes. Any implementation measures will therefore be practical, reasonable, and informed by the feedback received throughout the consultation process. By taking action now through a measured and collaborative approach, the Cayman Islands has an opportunity to preserve the beauty of our islands, protect the natural environment that is central to our way of life and economy, and help ensure that future generations inherit a cleaner and more sustainable Cayman Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Reidby.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I'm confused, which is not my usual state, sir. Can I ask the member, so despite the fanfare around plastic, the ban of single-use plastics, and there was a number of them named, not all, are you saying that in truth and in fact, it is only now a consideration and you don't really know when or what plastics will be banned or when it will actually happen?
Minister for District Administration and Home Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize for the confusion, but ultimately I'm not responsible for what you understand. I'm responsible for what I say. The list that the government provided was not exhaustive but indicative. That's why I restated those same lists again, because that is what has been considered, and the government is inclined to include those on the list. However, public consultation is necessary to ensure we capture all single-use plastics that are required and should be prohibited, and that is the process that we are going through.
Member for Reidby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I look forward to the public consultation, and I look forward to the public consultation. I look forward.
No preambles, please, please, please.
Mr. Speaker.
Member for Georgetown West.
Button down. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Honourable Minister, is there any consideration to also add styrofoam to that list?
On the list. Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, in addition to the press release that is already out in the public, where the 8 named items were listed, in addition to my answer, which I provided the 8 listed items again, The items are there. Public consultation will help develop the list, and that could be something that is considered in the future.
Next question.
The Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, elected member for Georgetown Central, to ask the Honorable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs question number 3.
Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and elected member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question on the order paper number 3 standing in my name. Can the good Honorable Minister provide an overview of the programs and strategies in place to help prisoners with rehabilitation and transition back into society when they are released?
Honorable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The answer. The Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs has 2 primary departments that work closely together to rehabilitate people in prison and support their successful transition back into society. His Majesty's Cayman Islands Prison Service, otherwise known as the Prison Service, and the Department of Community Rehabilitation, otherwise known as DCR. Together, the Prison Service and DCR work hand in hand with other government agencies and community organizations to reduce reoffending, support rehabilitation and successful reintegration, prevent crime, and ensure the interests of victims and the public are considered. From the point an individual enters custody, there is a structured process in place to assess their needs, identify any risks or vulnerabilities, and determine the most appropriate placement within the prison system. Individuals are also introduced to the rules, expectations, services, and opportunities available to them while in custody. DCR then undertakes an evidence-based assessment to identify the individual's risks, needs, and areas requiring support. This assessment informs a case management plan that outlines appropriate interventions, programs, and purposeful activities designed to address those needs. The plan is regularly reviewed and updated. Referrals are made to relevant services, and one-on-one offender management sessions are provided as needed. This plan is a part of a structured system that encourages positive behavior, personal responsibility, and active participation in rehabilitation. As individuals demonstrate progress and engagement, they may become eligible for lower security categorizations, increased privileges, and additional opportunities for personal development. This approach recognizes and rewards progress, helps maintain safer custodial environments, and supports better reintegration outcomes. During their time in custody, people in prison have access to a range of programs, interventions, and purposeful activities designed to address the underlying drivers of offending and to build skills for successful reintegration into the community. These include education and training, educational programs to improve literacy and numeracy, including CXC examinations, certifications, and even degree-level opportunities. Vocational skills, vocational training and certification to support employability. The Prison Service operates as a City and Guilds certified vocational center, offering qualifications in plumbing, HVAC, carpentry, auto mechanics, and electrical installation. Employment. Individuals may also participate in structured work assignments within the prison, including kitchen services, agriculture, maintenance, cleaning, welding, and other operational functions. Selected individuals may also participate in supervised volunteer work programs with external government agencies. Clinical and therapeutic services. Services that support mental health, emotional well-being, substance misuse recovery, trauma recovering, and the development of healthy coping strategies. These include counseling, trauma-informed interventions, and evidence-based therapeutic programs. Behavior change and rehabilitation programs. Interventions designed to address factors associated with offending behavior, promote personal responsibility, empathy, and support positive behavioral change. Programs include anger management, cognitive behavioral interventions, sex offender treatment, healthy relationship programs, and female empowerment workshops. Restorative, spiritual, and pastoral services. Services that provide opportunities for personal reflection, spiritual growth through chaplaincy support, mediation, faith-based programs, and restorative justice initiatives such as the Sycamore Tree Program. Recreational and well-being activities. Activities that promote physical health, well-being, teamwork, and positive use of leisure time, including gardening, art, chess, football, basketball, and pickleball. Reintegration into the community. The prison service also supports reintegration through initiatives such as the Release on Temporary License Program and the Enhanced Reintegration Unit, which provide eligible individuals with a structured and gradual transition back into the community while remaining subject to appropriate oversight. These initiatives are complemented by job readiness support, including resume development, interview preparation, workplace readiness training, and work release opportunities with local employers to support successful reintegration. The Conditional Release Act provides a further pathway for eligible individuals to transition back into the community with greater support. Individuals may be considered for conditional release once they have served 60% of their sentence and their risk is considered manageable in the community. In support of the Conditional Release Board's decision-making process, the Prison Service, DCR, and other relevant agencies provide comprehensive assessments and reports, including consideration of victim impact. As individuals who are granted conditional release transition back into the community, DCR provides structured individual supervision with a strong emphasis on compliance, alongside practical assistance, including referrals to relevant services and support. The objective is to help individuals maintain stability, address ongoing needs, and successfully reintegrate into society while prioritizing the safety of victims and the public. Successful reintegration requires coordinated support beyond the prison. Through community supervision, transitional programs, and partnerships with government and community organizations, individuals may receive assistance with employment, housing, life skills, treatment services, and rebuilding family and community connections. Programs such as the government's Second Chance program and halfway houses such as the Bridge Foundation play an important role in supporting successful transitions. Recognizing that integration is a shared responsibility, the Ministry of District Administration and Home Affairs and the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation are working together to strengthen a whole-of-government approach to reintegration, and this partnership focuses on identifying gaps and barriers for reintegration and improving coordination across housing, employment, social services, and other critical areas to reduce reoffending and support long-term positive outcomes. The Ministry has also commenced a new initiative to consult with the Inmate Council to help inform rehabilitation and reintegration efforts. The first engagement session provided valuable insight into the experiences and perspectives of people in prison and reflected the positive impact of rehabilitation efforts already underway, as the members demonstrated a strong focus on personal responsibility, public protection, and the impact of their crime on victims, families, and communities. Council members are also provided constructive recommendations on employment and reintegration support. The Ministry and Prison Service are committed to continuing this engagement in conjunction with pursuing legislative amendments to the Prison Act 2021 revision and the various prison rules and regulations. By combining structured custody, meaningful rehabilitation, and coordinated reintegration support, the NCFC is working to reduce reoffending, enhance public safety, and ensure that individuals leave custody better equipped to contribute positively to society. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to thank the Honourable Minister for the very comprehensive response. A lot of good details in there, and I hope that the families of those persons who are incarcerated in the Cayman Islands prison, as well as the prisoners, have heard exactly what the government is doing to assist with that transition. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister say when the consultation with the prisoners will be completed, and when does the Minister intend to report back to this Honourable House with the findings of that consultation?
Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what I can say, this consultation with the Inmate Council and persons in prison is ongoing, constantly ongoing. It is a new initiative by the ministry. We consult on, right now, we just finished consultation on a revision for the Spent Convictions Act, on revisions that we want to, I guess, advocate for in that act. There'll be other matters that we consult on, so it is ongoing. I don't see the practicability of reporting every single consultation that we have with the council to Parliament, because it is the work of the ministry. However, I'm happy to answer any parliamentary question that comes my way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, a member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, maybe the consultation that the minister is speaking to is not the kind that I thought it was. So let me revert back to my original question then. Has the ministry done a survey by the prisoners to question all of what the minister so adequately just detailed is being delivered adequately to the prisoners? If not, is he willing to do so? And to be specific, a survey of the prisoners to see exactly, because I know, Mr. Speaker, that the information was reliably informed and transferred to the minister. What I'm saying is that there seems to be a difference of view from many of the prisoners in respect to this very adequately given answer, and if he's prepared to do a survey of the prisoners. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. While my answer was reliably informed, what I can say is also a policy direction of the minister, that this is what they are to be doing. This is how it should operate. This is what people deserve to rehabilitate and reintegrate into society. So, Mr. Speaker, I will commit to ensuring to check in inmate council, prisoners, prison staff, the ministry staff, to ensure the workings of the prison address all of this. And I'm happy to, in the future, bring a statement to Parliament. Thank you.
Okay. Honourable Premier, would you be inclined to move the suspension of Standing Order 36.3 to allow question time to go beyond 1 hour?
Certainly, Mr. Speaker. I move the suspension of Standing Order 36.3 to allow question time to exceed an hour.
Question is that Standing Order 36.3 be suspended. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against? The ayes have it. Standing Order 36.3 is suspended and question time can continue until we complete the questions on the order paper. Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Honourable Premier for extending the time necessary for questions to be answered. My final question in respect to the question before us, can the Honourable Minister say if, I do think he said other entities like the ministry that was responsible for DFA, Department of Financial Assistance, can the Minister say whether when an inmate is leaving the prison, if there's an obligation when a prisoner suggests that they do not have housing, whether there's an obligation to find housing for a prisoner rather than them going on the street homeless? Are they obligated to pay for it and find it?
Of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other entities that were referenced in not only include the government agencies, but also external agencies, such as the NDC. And by the way, the NDC also provides surveys or does surveys with prisoners on the workings and happenings within prison. Also, we work with the ministry supports the Bridge Foundation, the halfway house, the reintegration programs that the Bridge Foundation offers. So that is an option for housing as well. While we cannot guarantee housing due to supply, each person leaving prison has the ability to apply to Department of Financial Assistance for housing assistance up to 3 months before they leave prison. So supply is important. Housing supply is key. And we know that supply of housing is, I guess, in dire straits even for those who are out of prison. Caymanian prisoners, Mr. Speaker. Let me qualify that. Yes, Caymanian prisoners.
Deputy Leader of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Just a last qualifier. Mr. Speaker, I'm assuming that the minister is saying, just so I can understand him clearly, that finding a house, which I understand is a very difficult task, but at the very least, the department would be, the prison would work with the department to approve the payment for housing. Now, whether or not we can find it, whether you work with the family members of the prisoner, because a halfway house is mainly for persons that is dealing with addictions and so forth. You have persons who've been in the prison who has nothing to do with a halfway house that will possibly need somewhere to stay. So once they get out of prison, we can't assume that everybody has a home to go to. So though I know it's troubling to find housing.
Ask a question. You ask a question, now leave him, let him answer it. Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try to find the question in the preamble and the postamble if I can. But we have identified the need to strengthen the support. And that is why I said that we have strengthened the working relationship between Ministry of District Admin and Home Affairs and the Ministry of Social Development and Innovation. What is interesting, though, is that previous governments, including when the Deputy Leader of Opposition was Minister for Social Development, did not invest in social housing or transitional housing, but we have already identified properties for transitional housing and for social housing, and we're looking to expand that, because while we understand that, yes, we can approve the funds, we can't approve demand that they open up their doors, we are seeking to alleviate that pressure with the transitional housing, but we will support our people, our Caymanian people, as best as we can. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Next question. Member for Bordentown West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to ask, through you to the Honourable Minister, as they are considering these programs for reintegration in society, prisoners who have found jobs still have problems with getting a bank account. Can the minister work to see what can be done in helping some of these prisoners? I recognize the banks do have their risk profile and everything else, but for some of the people that I've heard that are struggling to get bank accounts, having just been, by virtue of being incarcerated, is a problem for some. So I just want to ask the minister to put that on his radar also. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Of Home Affairs and District Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with the member that it has always been a problem for persons in prison when they re-enter society, opening bank accounts, receiving payments, receiving salary for jobs. Last year, we had a secondee, a supervisor from the prison service working within the ministry that led the initiative to calling all the banks around the table with employers in the private sector to figure out what exactly we can do to ensure that they do have access to banking. So there was a program, there are templates in place, banks are on board. I do hear some stories about some people today still having issues. So if any member is aware of that, if you get any complaints, please let me know, because all banks were called to the table and had agreed to a process to support our people reintegrating back into society.
The Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, elected member for Georgetown Central, to ask the Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs, question number 4.
Deputy Leader of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 4, standing in my name. Can the Honourable Minister say whether the Water Authority intends to apply to the Utility Regulation and Competition Off-Reg better known as OFREG, to increase its rates as stated by the Minister in Finance Committee on Thursday, the 13th of November 2025, in light of the inflation hike announced by the Economic and Statistics Office.
Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The answer. On 3rd of June 2026, the Water Authority Cayman, otherwise referred to as the Authority, announced that its base price for water, sewerage, and septic services will be adjusted by 3% effective 1st of July 2026. This adjustment reflects the first increase to base rates in 7 years. To place this in context, even with the adjustment, the Authority continues to supply potable water at a cost of less than 3 cents per gallon. This remains significantly lower than the cost of commercially bottled water available in grocery stores, which costs an average of up to $2.68 per gallon, depending on the brand and packaging. The Authority therefore continues to provide an essential public service at a fraction of the cost of alternative sources. The adjustment is made strictly in accordance with Section 44(3) of the Water Authority Regulations 2022 revision, which provides the lawful mechanism for annual base price reviews. The process includes independent verification by the Office of the Auditor General and formal notification to the Utility Regulation and Competition Office, ensuring full transparency, accountability, and regulatory oversight. It should also be noted that base rates have not been adjusted for 7 years, once more. While any increase in cost is understandably of concern to the public, this adjustment remains modest and necessary to ensure the continued maintenance, upgrading, and resilience of the Authority's critical infrastructure. These investments are essential to sustaining the delivery of safe, reliable, and high-quality water and wastewater services across the Cayman Islands. Beyond cost considerations, the Authority plays a critical role in the public health infrastructure of the Cayman Islands. It is a key partner in safeguarding national health and well-being through the consistent delivery of safe drinking water that meets World Health Organization standards. The Authority ensures that residents and businesses have continuous access to safe potable water, which is fundamental to sanitation, disease prevention, and overall community well-being. There are no further applications pending, nor any proposal currently before the regulator for additional rate increases beyond this approved adjustment. Any future review of rates will continue to be undertaken strictly within the established legal and regulatory framework with full oversight and transparency. Finally, it is important to place the Authority's financial position in its proper context. Unlike many public sector entities, the Authority does not receive operational funding from central government. Rather, it operates as a self-financing statutory authority and fulfills its statutory obligations, including the payment of annual dividends to the government. The Authority achieves these standards not through subsidy or external support, but through sound financial management, a skilled and predominantly Caymanian workforce, and a sustained commitment to operational excellence. As indicated during Finance Committee proceedings last year, while the Authority's financial statements may at first glance suggest a strong surplus position, it is important to recognize that this is driven by investment income. The Authority maintains reserves invested in fixed deposits to support future capital expenditure requirements, including critical infrastructure development, system upgrades, resilience projects, and network expansion to meet the demands of a growing population. This financial independence is not accidental. It reflects decades of disciplined management, prudent capital planning, and governance structures that hold the Authority to the highest standards of accountability. From a financial management perspective, these funds represent earmarked reserves for planned capital investment rather than unrestricted surplus available for general expenditure. If those designated infrastructure reserves were excluded from consideration, the Authority's financial position would present a markedly different picture and would more accurately reflect the substantial costs associated with maintaining and modernizing essential water and wastewater infrastructure. The NCFC remains firmly committed to improving the quality of life for all Caymanians and residents through the provision of essential services that are safe, reliable, and financially sustainable. The modest adjustment now being implemented will help ensure that the authority maintains its long-term financial viability, continues to invest in critical infrastructure, and remains capable of meeting the country's future water and wastewater needs without reliance on direct financial support from central government. This approach reflects prudent fiscal management, responsible stewardship of public assets, and a commitment to ensuring that future generations benefit from a modern, resilient, and sustainable water utility. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister say, considering the Economic and Statistics Office has formally announced this inflation hike before or after the Minister and the entity had made a decision to increase or intended to increase the rates, how can the Minister reconcile allowing the statutory authority to increase these rates at a time when consumers and households are already facing severe cost of living squeezes?
Honourable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The inflation uptick that the Honourable Deputy Leader spoke about is mainly driven by fuel cost. And the government has committed up to $10 million, actually it's more than $10 million addressing the fuel costs that is driving up inflation in the country. As mentioned in the press release for the Water Authority rate increase, as mentioned here today, even with this rate adjustment, water from the tap still costs 3 cents per gallon. 3 cents per gallon. And that is insignificant compared to everything else. As I said, more than $10 million to address fuel. Early Childhood Assistance Program increased from $950,000 to $2 million. I'm answering my question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister confirm whether hazard management or any other weather-related entities within core government has informed himself or his caucus that this hurricane season is expected to be topping the national record of the highest, hottest summer and this most severe dry season, if he was made aware of that before making this decision?
Member, I'm not sure what the predictions of hurricane got to do with the price of water from the Water Authority, so maybe you can clarify it. So
yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to. Mr. Speaker, see, the relevance of my question is that if they were made aware that this season, weather-related matters are going to be hotter than normal, then the need for water will be heavier than normal. And the question and the demand would be heavier. Thank you, Honourable Member. So the question is whether the government was cognizant of that before they decided to do the increase. That's my question.
Honourable Minister of Home Affairs and District Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think we're all aware of meteorological predictions and forecasts and how they can vary. But again, Mr. Speaker, I think typically when it's hotter, we turn the AC temperature lower. That doesn't affect your water bill. So I don't see the relevance here, unless we're taking showers outside. Not too sure, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Member for Georgetown Central.
Mr. Speaker, I'm genuinely trying to get an answer, but I see the member's sarcastic responses shows that he's lacking in understanding that there are actually Caymanians who are in agriculture who depend on those services. But maybe he's not focused on that, but we in the opposition are. But he has answered the question, Mr. Speaker. They didn't consider it. So my last question, Mr. Speaker, did the government consider, as the Minister of Finance said in previous sittings of the House, whether they would be willing to delay the implementation of these fees. Granted, we in the opposition support the infrastructure needs, but is this the time to do the increase? So did they consider, straight question, did the government consider whether delaying this rate at this time would have been a better idea?
Honorable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. To address the preamble once more, I am quite aware that we have persons working in agriculture and farming, and that's why the Water Authority still maintains to this day the Eastern Reservoir, that farmers can go straight to the reservoir, get water for free. Not even 3 cents per gallon. Free, Mr. Speaker. But one thing I've learned, a gallon costs 3 cents. A gallon costs 3 cents per gallon. 3 cents per gallon, Mr. Speaker. One of the things that I've learned, Mr. Speaker, as mentioned in the answer, let me just repeat. As mentioned in the answer, the law provides the mechanism for Water Authority to increase every year. The law does not say government can direct not to implement. The law says that they could have increased by 17%. The authorities said that is too rough on the Caymanian people. We still need to maintain our critical infrastructure, so we will do 3%, and that will address our needs. Mr. Speaker, out of all of this, one thing I've learned, empty barrels makes the most noise. But it only costs 15 cents to fill this up.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm just going to ask a little bit leeway because my concerns from the last Finance Committee remains. And through you, Mr. Speaker, and I hope the Minister of Finance don't mind me putting him on the spot, but in the last Finance Committee, I was concerned about the almost 8 million loss from cash flows from primary operations with regards to the Water Authority from primary operations. Is there a plan in place by the Minister of Finance and the government to tackle that issue? Because I can tell you right now, if you look at the Water Authority financials, it is not as healthy as people look. I mean, they've been sitting on the cash, they've been making a lot of money from investment revenues, but the core business is losing money. So I would like to know what is the plan in place to deal with that. And I'm asking the Minister of Finance, ultimately, I mean, if he doesn't want to understand, I can understand, but the Public Management and Finance Act is clear in that regard with SAGCs and their ability to not be a going concern for the people of the Cayman Islands. Thank you.
Honourable Minister of Finance, do you wish to?
Mr. Speaker, the Minister is quite right, and the member is quite right. Given the construct of this, part of the reason I answered this publicly is because we in this House have really fell short about the real responsibility, ultimately, that this Minister of Finance has, and that I take very, very seriously. This SAGC, the member is absolutely right. If you look at the Public Authority Act and the construct of how we are supposed to be conducting public finances across the entire government, something needed to be done. This 3% increase, as I understand it, increases some cents per person per bill. So we're not talking about Caymanians having to get $50 and $60 increases. This is a minimal increase. Did the government consider whether to implement? The minister came, he spoke to me on about 3 occasions and walked through the model. This is a model to get the Water Authority back to financial stability. We didn't want to have to go this deep publicly, but since we could keep yapping on about this subject, the Water Authority makes a loss on its water operations. It is buffered up because they are allowed to keep millions of dollars on investment. They then get investment income, and that's what allows them to survive. We cannot continue to have entities across CIG when we can spread it across millions and millions of gallons. That is why the impact is so minuscule per customer. So did the government take that into consideration? We sure did. I can tell you, I don't see any reason for us to not implement at this time.
Mr. Speaker.
Is it a point of order?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
What point of order?
Mr. Speaker, there's not a question being answered here, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, the member for Bordentown West specifically asked the Minister of Finance a question, and he's answering the question.
What was the question, Mr. Speaker? Because I'm failing to know what the question was.
Under the Public Management and Finance Act, all entities must be financially viable. Under this government's policy, every entity that provides a public service needs to get to financial viability. When you make a loss on your core operations, there is a concern. This is a part of how we not only ensure that we can maintain our infrastructure, but get the entity to a level where its operations covers its costs.
Deputy of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just as a procedural matter, for clarity, just for my understanding, can honourable other members other than the question allotted to that minister can answer questions? I just want to make sure for future purposes.
Honourable Deputy of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central. The member for Bordentown East asks permission to ask the Minister of Finance a question. I allowed him to ask the question, and I asked the Minister of Finance if he would wish to take the opportunity to reply. He did. It was all in accordance with the standing orders. Question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I wonder if the Minister could tell us how does the Water Authority rates of 3 cents per gallon compared to the only other viable entity, comparable entity on the island, Cayman Water Company? How they compare, the rates compared to them?
One minute, please, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I would only just say to the Minister, I'd be happy to take the answer in writing.
Okay. Minister for...
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can just give a brief answer. I know that Water Authority rates have always, historically, and probably will always be lower than Cayman Water. That's as much as I can answer, but I know that their rates, the other companies' rates are posted online.
The Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition, elected member for Georgetown Central, to ask the Honourable Minister of Social Development and Innovation, question number 5.
The Deputy of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask the question standing in my name on the order paper number 5 to the Honourable Minister for Social Development and Innovation. Can the Honourable Minister provide a detailed update on the ongoing financial assistance assessment process conducted over the past 12 months by the Department of Financial Assistance, specifically A, the number of individuals or households whose financial assistance benefits have been reassessed, and B, the number of recipients who have experienced a reduction in their monthly disbursements following the reassessment, and C, the aggregate dollar figure saved and deducted from the public assistance distributions as a direct result of these benefit reductions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Social Development and Innovation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The answer: over the period of June 1st, 2025 to 31st of May 2026, the Department of Financial Assistance, commonly known as DFA, completed 547 financial assessments for the individuals and households receiving financial assistance. Of these reassessments, 71% or 391 persons received increased average monthly services compared to their previous assessment period. 28%, 155 persons received reduced services, and 0.2%, one person experienced no change in their monthly services. The 155 persons who experienced a reduction in services did so because their household deficit decreased at the time of reassessment. Financial assistance is calculated strictly on the basis of household verified deficits, which can change over time as income and expenses change. Reductions can occur for the following reasons: decreased household deficits. Households had smaller shortfalls between their expenses and their available income at reassessment, meaning that they required less assistance to meet essential needs. Increased household income, clients gained employment, increased work hours, received pension uplift, began receiving seafarers or veterans ex gratia increases, or obtained additional income, i.e. rental or business income, reducing the level of support required. Reduced household expenses. Certain clients experienced lower expenses, example, loan payments ending, children leaving preschool, which reduced their deficits. Changes in household consumption, and when household members move out, became independent or no longer required support, the household needs and deficits change. Reductions occurred only where households' verified financial needs decreased, resulting in a lower assessed shortfall and therefore a lower level of service required. A monthly comparison is used because not all clients access services for the same number of months during each assessment period, and therefore an annual comparison would not provide an accurate or consistent measure of change across households. Using a monthly figure ensures that the comparison is accurate, consistent, and comparable across all 547 reassessed clients, regardless of how long they receive services in either period. An annual comparison would be misleading, as it would incorrectly assume that all clients receive the same services for the same duration, which is not the case. In this context, the 155 persons who experienced reductions saw a combined monthly decrease of $59,294.45. These reductions were applied strictly based on each client's financial need at the time of reassessment and were necessary to bring their assessed household deficits within the allowable surplus thresholds prescribed in the regulations. By contrast, the 391 persons who experienced increases saw a combined monthly increase of $182,904.86. This demonstrates that through reassessment, the government was able to redirect the $59,294.45 in reduced monthly services to help meet the increased needs of the 391 clients whose household deficits had grown.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister say, as a result of those assessments of some, let me just double check the number here, 547 persons after the reassessment, the government actually ended up with more expense as a result of the assessment? Because if you said you saved 49, call it $60,000, but you ended up having to pay out more, you ended up with more expense of $120,000. Am I correct in my understanding of that?
Mr. Speaker, yes, that's correct, because with those reassessments, we found some persons who needed additional support, and that, when you look at the variance, it's about 120.
Honourable Deputy Leader of the Opposition and member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Minister say whether or not they have further intentions of doing more assessments that could potentially lead to further reductions?
Minister of Social Development and Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, the Act requires us to do reassessments at certain times, and certainly, again, based on the statement I gave earlier to the answer, we could find ourselves that people are well above the surplus after they had a reassessment, and so there's a possibility that that will happen, sir.
It brings us to question, though. Member for Georgetown, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, and Member for Georgetown Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last supplementary, and I want to thank the Honourable Minister for his very adequate response. Can the Honourable Minister say whether, in his opinion, that the department is adequately serving the need, not the department as in the staff, but by way of the policies and the rules and regulations are adequately serving the need of the general public today?
Minister of Social Development and Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, to answer, in today's environment, I do believe that based on the resources that we have, that we are adequately, but we are in the middle of a reassessment right now, so we will get information from that as well.
That brings us to the end of question time, but I'd just like to remind the ministers, we need the answers to the questions. The standing orders ensures that you get the question 10 days before the meeting starts. I really would appreciate the ministers leaning on their chief officers to make sure the questions are answered and we have them in-house in Parliament before each meeting starts. Thank you all.
Statement by members of the government.
I have received and approved a statement by the Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to stand here this afternoon to announce that the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, and also on behalf of the Cayman Islands government, we are thrilled to announce the return of Caymanian Jordan Crooks to international competitive swimming. After some time away from the sport, he's officially back in the pool and will be representing the Cayman Islands on the global stage and aiming to compete in LA 2028. Jordan has shared how grateful he is to have had the opportunity over the past few months to complete his studies and plan for his future. He's excited to return to swimming at a professional level and represent the Cayman Islands. And Mr. Speaker, I'm certain that the entire Cayman Islands is proud to see Jordan return to training at a professional level. We have watched him as he accomplished many phenomenal achievements during his collegiate career, from breaking national records, university and NCAA records, winning gold in the Shark Coast World Championship, and lest we not forget, setting a world record and becoming the first swimmer to break the 20-second barrier in the 50-meter freestyle. I'm sure that I speak for all of us when I say, welcome back, Jordan, and we are certainly looking forward to watching you as you journey to LA 2028.
Presentation of petitions.
None.
Obituary and other ceremonial speeches.
I have received a request by the Premier to do an obituary, and it's open to any other members, although I haven't been given notice, if you wish to mention any deaths that took place in your community since the last sitting of Parliament. Honourable Premier.
Thank you and good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. I rise to read into the Hansards the tribute on behalf of the government at the service of dearly departed James Montgomery Ryan, former Chief Secretary and member of what was then the Legislative Assembly. Briefly, Mr. Speaker, before I do, I'd like to thank you for coordinating the line in state of last Thursday. I think all of us took stock of that event. It was beautifully performed. You could feel the emotion from the family, and I think they appreciated those of us who could attend to be there in support. Particularly Miss Shirley, who was obviously deeply affected, as they were not high school sweethearts. They were childhood sweethearts, and essentially were almost together forever. And to commend the family for organizing such a beautiful memorial service that was on Saturday. Again, I think it was fitting tributes. As you would expect, Mr. Speaker, former member, former leader of government business, Honorable Kurt Tibbetts delivered a life story in a compelling fashion with deep knowledge of his relationship, and the family should be commended for all of their tributes. Again, flawlessly delivered. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I just want to formally read into the Hansards the government's tribute on the life of incredible service by Mr., as we would call him, Mr. Jimmy. Quote, "Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last Thursday, 18th of June, members of this honorable House, led by you, Mr. Speaker, gathered on the steps of Parliament with solemn hearts, but also with deep gratitude, to honor the life and legacy of Mr. James Montgomery Ryan. He was a distinguished son of Cayman Brac, a devoted servant of the Cayman Islands, and a man whose character left an enduring impression on all who had the privilege of knowing him. And as a former member of the Legislative Assembly, he was rightly given the high honor of a lying in state ceremony. There are moments in life when words feel especially inadequate. This is one of those moments, and it reminds us that some lives cannot be measured by titles alone or fully captured by a record of service, even a record as distinguished as that of Mr. Ryan. So we pray particularly for Mr. Ryan's family, whom he loves so much, that you feel the heart of the community supporting you, caring for you during this very difficult time, because those of us who knew him loved him too. For this reason, the government and the people of the Cayman Islands stand with you during your grief. But in honor of Mr. Ryan's life, we also stand in gratitude. Gratitude for a life lived with purpose, dignity, and devotion to country. Mr. Ryan began serving his country at the age of 13 years old as a young wireless messenger on the Brac. He helped keep both families and commercial interests connected. If you recall, Mr. Speaker, I joked at the family's memorial service that he was the Brac's original Wi-Fi. That's how the job description was read by the Honorable Kurt Tibbetts. He himself, returning to the statement, said that this experience planted a seed in him that became an ironwood tree. Nearly 4 decades of dedicated public service. He served as an educator, a principal, district commissioner, and deputy chief secretary, and he crowned his career as chief secretary from 1994 to 2004. Mr. Tibbetts also had made the point that Mr. Ryan had only ever applied for one job. All the rest that I just read, he just followed up with appointments and promotions. One job. In moments of real national challenge, from prison riots, migrant issues, to Hurricane Ivan, Mr. Ryan helped guide these islands with steadiness, courage, and care. Of course, as the Chief Secretary, he wore many hats. He was an ex officio member of the Legislative Assembly, of course now Parliament, representing and advocating for the civil service across several political administrations. During this time, Mr. Ryan also bore witness to the return of political parties to the Cayman Islands, and he helped the civil service adjust accordingly. In addition to being an ex officio member of the Legislative Assembly, Mr. Ryan was also an ex officio member of Executive Council, which transitioned to become the cabinet during his tenure. And of course, he also represented us with distinction by serving as acting governor on countless occasions. It is accurate to say that in the Legislative Assembly and in cabinet, his neutrality was never questioned, and his sound advice and courteous demeanor were always respected across the political landscape. But let us remember that the achievements, however remarkable, are not the full measure of the man. They were the outward expression of Mr. Ryan's faithful, God-fearing, God-loving character. That is why today we remember not only the offices he held, but even more, the manner in which he served. You see, Mr. Ryan was of that generation of Caymanians who knew deep in their bones that public service is both a privilege and a responsibility. He expected excellence from himself and from those who worked alongside him, because he firmly believed that government exists to serve the people, and he would accept nothing less. He carried that same spirit of excellence into the wider community. Through his church, Rotary, the Sister Islands Community Care Board, and many quiet acts of kindness that sought no recognition. The honors rightly bestowed upon Mr. Ryan remain as public symbols of his achievements. Indeed, successive governments remain respectful and grateful for the spirit in which he served and for the institutions he strengthened through his integrity, professionalism, and service above self. Yet, he himself considered that his greatest achievements to be the trust he earned and the example he left of faithfully serving others. In fact, even after retirement, he continued to serve the Cayman Islands in public roles, in keeping with a heart that he loved his country. And yet, for all the high offices he held, and wherever duty placed him, Mr. Ryan never lost the Caymanian gift of truly seeing people. He made each person feel valued, not because of title or standing, but because he took the time to recognize the human before him, as he taught, mentored, and encouraged them. In that, Mr. Ryan reflected the heart of who we are, a people who respect and care for one another. And that is why Mr. Ryan is remembered as a family man, a mentor, a trusted public servant, and a man who inspired us to develop deep personal character as well. His legacy is worthy of honor, and as we look to the future, may those of us who serve today and in generations to come remember that leadership is found not only in words spoken or decisions made, but in character, consistency, and quiet devotion to the common good, as Mr. Jimmy showed us. Again, on behalf of the government and the people of the Cayman Islands, we offer sincere gratitude for the life, service, and legacy of Mr. James Montgomery Ryan, CBE, JP. May his family be comforted by the love and respect that surrounds them, and always may his soul rest in eternal peace. So long, Chief Secretary. Those of us who are still here in public service will try to emulate your example, and we'll see you on the other side.
Honorable Minister of District Administration and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I certainly want to rise and associate myself with the words spoken by the Honourable Premier on Mr. Jimmy Ryan. To many across these islands, he was Mr. James Ryan, former Chief Secretary, a distinguished public servant, a man of discipline, a man of principle, and a man whose service helped shape the modern Cayman Islands civil service. But to many of us from Cayman Brac and across these islands, he was also simply Mr. Jimmy. And that title carried with it a deep sense of respect, affection, and pride. Mr. Jimmy was a fellow Bracker, and for me, like so many others, he was an inspiration. He was one of those persons whose life quietly taught lessons long before words were ever spoken. He showed that someone from our small island could rise to the highest level of public service, carry himself with dignity, serve with excellence, and still remain grounded in community, family, and faith. I last spoke with Mr. Jimmy in March of this year, just 2 months before his passing. And in that conversation, I told him something that I had carried with me for many years, and I actually got him to laugh. I told him that I had always admired him for the way he dressed and the way that he respected time. Mr. Jimmy was always put together, and if you saw the slideshow or if you knew him personally, even out fishing, he was dressed in his best. Always sharp, but more than that, he was always on time. And in truth, usually 10 minutes early. And that may seem like a small thing, Mr. Speaker, but to me it was never small. It reflected discipline, respect. It reflected a man who understood that when you respect time, you respect people. And that is a quality I genuinely admire and one that I try to impress upon others even now. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I can remember a time in high school when I would come home, change out of my school uniform, and put on dress clothes just to spend the rest of the day wearing them because I wanted to be like Mr. Jimmy. I know I was a weird child, but I can see me dressing up now and driving around Cayman Brac in the car. Couldn't even drive yet, that's how young I was, but I wanted to be like Mr. Jimmy. And that is the kind of influence he had. Not loud, not forced, but steady, visible, and lasting. I also knew Mr. Jimmy in a very personal way. And this is a family that I grew up around in the community, in the same church, and throughout life. His daughter Laura and my mother have always been the closest of friends. His son Will was always a source of encouragement when he would return to Cayman Brac from his missionary trips. His niece, Mrs. Heidi Wallace, now serves as the Chief Human Resources Officer in my ministry. And I want to publicly extend to her and to the entire family my deepest condolences, my love, and my prayers. Mr. Jimmy would often call me when he needed justice of the peace services, particularly when he was in a rush. But even then, his visit was never merely transactional. If I was on duty for JP services in the lobby of the government administration building, he would not simply come, sign, and leave. He would sit and he would talk. He would talk about life. He would talk about government. He would talk about road signs needed. He would talk about family, and he would talk about faith. And those conversations were never wasted. They were the kind of conversations that remind you that public service is not only about office, title, or position. It is about people. It is about wisdom passed from one generation to another. It is about the responsibility to serve with humility, consistency, and purpose. This past weekend, I had the honor of attending his life celebration service. As the Premier said, it was full of joy, it was full of hope, and full of love. And that in itself was a testament to the man that he was. It was not simply a service of mourning. It was a celebration of a life well lived, a legacy well established, and a faith well held. Regrettably, due to family commitments, I will not be able to attend his final funeral service in Cayman Brac this weekend. I do, however, wish to extend my sincere apologies to his family publicly, because I've already spoken to them, for my absence, and to assure them that they will remain very much in my thoughts and prayers on that day. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Jimmy's passing is a loss to his family, to Cayman Brac, to the civil service, and to the Cayman Islands as a whole. But his life is a reminder that legacy is built in more ways than one. It is built through service, through example, through discipline, and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, it is built through faith. And sometimes it is built through something as simple yet as powerful as being 10 minutes early, properly dressed, fully prepared, and ready to give your best. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the people of Cayman Brac, West and Little Cayman, I extend sincere condolences to his children, his wife, Miss Shirley, his wider family, his loved ones, his church family, and all who mourn his passing. May his memory be a blessing, may his example continue to inspire, and may his soul rest in perpetual peace. Thank you.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to one of my constituents. Before I do that, though, I just want to join on behalf of the official opposition on offering our public condolences to the family of Mr. James Ryan, Mr. Jimmy, and particularly his wife, Ms. Shirley. Sir Alden and I went to visit him a couple months ago, and it was there that I learnt that even though we've had a long family history from my mother's side with Mr. Ryan, that I learned it was my father, who was then what they called a Sparky, who was a wireless operator for the island, that hired Mr. Ryan as his assistant in Cayman Brac. So when we visited, Mr. Ryan said, "How's Lenny?" I said, "Good." He says, "You know, he gave me my first job." And so I learned that bit of history when visiting him, but I just wanted to publicly offer our condolences on behalf of the opposition. Mr. Speaker, also I'd like to offer condolences on behalf of myself to a lady who was well known within the Georgetown North constituency within the Watlers Road, known as Dog City area. Miss Eva Eleanor Smith, known to us as Miss Nellie. And Miss Nellie regretfully passed away on the 5th of June. And she leaves, Mr. Speaker, to mourn past her sister, Barbara Green, her brother, David Smith, her 7 daughters and 4 son-in-laws, and her 4 sons and 3 daughter-in-laws. Mr. Speaker, she also has 35 grandchildren and their spouses and families, and 26 great-grandchildren. So she was very much loved, comes from a very large family, Mr. Speaker, and she will certainly be missed, in particular by those of us that live in the Watlers Road area. I live over the wall, as they call it. And we wish the family strength and courage at this time, and we hope that her soul may rest in eternal peace. Thank you, sir.
Member for Savannah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I too rise to offer a tribute in honor of the late Honorable James Ryan. His official memorial service on Saturday was termed by one of his past students was a dignified service for a dignified gentleman. Mr. Speaker, although this tribute I'm about to read is printed in his official funeral program, I'm pleased to have the opportunity to have this entered into the Hansards of this honorable House as a lasting record. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to his sweet daughter, Laurie, who's like a sister to me, for asking me to prepare a tribute on his behalf. I do so now on behalf of the people of the Savannah and Newlands community. The tribute is entitled from the heart of the Savannah and Newlands community. For 39 years, Honorable James Ryan helped shape and strengthen the Cayman Islands through a remarkable career in public service, earning the respect of generations through his steady leadership and enduring contributions to the development of our nation. Long before many knew the full measure of his accomplishments and leadership within the public service, we in Savannah and Newlands knew Mr. Ryan as a neighbor whose quiet presence became a comforting and familiar part of everyday life. Though his life's work led him to some of the most senior positions in government, Savannah was where he chose to put down roots, build his home, and live among us. He was proud to call Savannah home, and over the years we came to know him not by his title or achievements, but by the humility, kindness, and steady character that defined him. Whether seen tending to daily routines, stopping to share a conversation, or simply offering a warm greeting, Mr. Ryan became a valued and cherished part of our community. Mr. Ryan was a man who never needed to raise his voice or command respect. His strength was found in his wisdom, his humility, and the quiet confidence in which he carried himself. He listened more than he spoke, treated everyone with courtesy and respect, and dedicated his life to serving others. Even after an exceptional career spent helping to guide the Cayman Islands through periods of growth and change, he remained approachable and grounded, always willing to stop by the Savannah Newlands Community Office, share his thoughts, or offer encouragement. In a world that often celebrates the loudest voices, Mr. Ryan's gentle presence reminded us that true leadership is measured not by recognition, but by character. Today, the Savannah Newlands communities pause to honor a neighbor who became a cherished part of our story. We remember a man whose legacy reaches far beyond the offices he held and the responsibilities he carried. We remember a friend, a mentor, and a proud resident who loved his community and was loved in return. MP Heather Bodden, who served as elected representative of the Bodden Town constituency from 1995 to 2000, recalls with great respect her years working alongside Mr. Ryan in the Legislative Assembly, now Parliament, during his tenure as Chief Secretary, a position he held from 1994 until his retirement in 2004, and which is today known as Deputy Governor. She remembers him as a gentleman of unwavering professionalism, quiet demeanor, and steadfast dedication to the people of these islands. As we say farewell, we give thanks for a life so well lived and for the example he leaves behind. Though his footsteps may no longer walk among us, his spirit remains etched in the heart of Savannah, and in his memory will continue to inspire all who had the privilege of knowing him. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Also, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take this opportunity to send out heartfelt condolences to Ruthie, Owen, Jamie, Kelly, and family, and Ryan on the recent passing of Mrs. Sally Hislop, who passed away on Saturday as well. And she was known to us in Savannah Newlands as Aunt Sal. Also, I'd like to send out condolences to my dear friend, Shirley DeCosta, whose mom, Miss Nellie, passed away. I would like to offer up heartfelt condolences to her and her family as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Honorable Deputy Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity this afternoon. By the way, I'd just like to pass on my condolences to the family of Miss Deborah Huggins, her husband Gary, and the kids, who I had the pleasure of becoming friends with them since they arrived back in Cayman in the early 80s, mid-80s. I also want to mention Miss Rosie Miles, the Peppermint Lady, who passed earlier, and I want to pass on my thoughts and prayers to Juliet, Ruth, and Valora, who have had the privilege of knowing basically all of my life, and we all worked at one of our locations many, many years ago. And to a near and dear friend of mine, Mr. Derek Westerborg, and his family, Sheena. Sheena is very near and dear to me. I had the privilege of serving on the Work Permit Board with her for many years. And I just want to pass on my thoughts and prayers to her and the family at this time. And also last, and I'll be brief, is Mr. Kenneth Christian. We all knew Kenneth most along election time with his public broadcasting speaker as he went through the many, many communities and neighborhoods of Cayman, broadcasting for those who would take on his service for their campaigns. My thoughts and prayers are with his family as well, Mr. Speaker. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Honorable Attorney General.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to join in expressing condolences to the family of the late Mr. James Ryan. I had the privilege, if you will, of serving with him for quite a while. And he, as mentioned earlier on, he was a man who conducted himself with utmost dignity and professionalism. I went to visit him whilst he was ill, and I was struck by his continuing dignity, sir, even in illness. He used the opportunity to regale us about his early days in the BRAC on his bicycle, carrying out his chores, and his time at Michael Teachers College and elsewhere. I certainly wish to extend my condolences to the entire family and my regrets at not being able to, well, I wasn't able to attend the funeral last week, or earlier this week, but unfortunately I won't be able to attend the one in the BRAC as well because I have some other overseas commitment. But I certainly would want to join with those who ask that his soul be rest in peace and that flights of angels would guide him to his place of eternal rest. So thank you.
Honorable Acting Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also like to extend condolences to the family of the late Honorable James Ryan, our former Chief Secretary. There are so many wonderful memories that have been shared. I went to visit Mr. Ryan before his passing, and we were reminiscing about my time in the civil service would have been as he was approaching the end of his time in the civil service. And as a young, energetic, new civil servant who was coming in with what I thought was the answer to every problem, Mr. Ryan had to endure many of conversations as I was on the staff association. And I was sharing with him my thoughts about just how gracious he had been to me at that time, and reflecting on how I now found myself in a position of leadership and hoping that I might demonstrate that same grace. And as I was talking about all the trouble I used to give him, he smiled and said again with that enduring grace, "Really? I don't remember that." That was just an example of the man that he was. I would like to share this tribute, sir, on behalf of our civil service as we pay our respects to our former Chief Secretary, the Honorable James Ryan. The Honorable James Ryan's life was defined by service to his island, his people, and to God. From his early days as a teacher in Cayman Brac to his distinguished tenure as Chief Secretary, Mr. Ryan exemplified the highest ideals of public service: integrity, humility, and unwavering dedication to the betterment of the Cayman Islands. Beginning his career in education, he shaped young minds and strengthened the foundation of Cayman Brac's secondary school system. His gift for teaching, honed at one of Jamaica's finest teachers' colleges, became the cornerstone of his leadership style: patient, instructive, and deeply human. Appointed Deputy Chief Secretary in 1992, and 2 years later, Chief Secretary, Mr. Ryan served and acted as Deputy to His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Michael Gore, and successive governors. This role demanded constitutional acumen, steady judgment, and moral courage, all of which Mr. Ryan possessed in abundance. As the administrative head of the public service and the first official member of both the then Legislative Assembly and the Executive Council, he oversaw the full breadth of internal and external affairs with responsibility for key departments, including at that time, immigration, district administration, computer services, police, and prison. Mr. Ryan carried a deep understanding of the resilience required to face natural disasters and community challenges. His calm, grounded leadership during hurricane preparations and national emergencies earned him respect across the islands. He valued the public as customers, ensuring that government services were delivered properly and sensitively, always with the welfare of the Caymanian people at heart. Beyond his professional achievements, Mr. Ryan was a man of profound faith and kindness. His colleagues remembered him not only for his strategic mind, but for his warmth, his wit, and his humility. Even in his final days, he greeted visitors with joy and grace, embodying the peace that comes from a life well lived and a soul well prepared. His MBE, awarded in 1986, stands as a testament to his lifelong commitment to public service. Yet his true honor lies in the countless lives he touched and the enduring legacy he leaves behind. The Cayman Islands mourn the passing of a pioneer who rose from our own ranks to be the highest civil service post under the governor. His vision, his discipline, and his compassion shaped the destiny for our islands. Thank you, Mr. Ryan, for your service, for your kindness, and for your enduring example. To his family, we thank you for sharing Mr. Ryan with the civil service and the people of these islands. We know that his public service came many, many times with great family sacrifice. Thank you for sharing your husband, your dad, and your cherished family member with us. May his soul rest in peace eternal, and may his legacy continue to guide generations of civil servants who follow in his footsteps. Mr. Speaker, if I may, just one other tribute that I would also like to mention. We also lost very recently, on the 19th of June, Miss Laurel Watler. Ms. Watler is the mother of former Permanent Secretary Mr. Harding Watler and grandmother to my colleague, Miss Laura Watler. Now, Nana, as we all came to know her within the civil service, we would get together and wish her happy birthday. I believe she celebrated 102 of those, if I'm not mistaken. She was remarkable. She ensured that we never forgot what it meant to be Caymanians, and she provided us with countless advice and information about what it meant to grow up in Cayman and the privileges that we had. But she always shared with her wit things about how it is we're supposed to properly cook. We have so many recipes wrong that she was quick to correct us on. And she really shared about all of the wonderful memories she had of days past, and she encouraged current generations of civil servants to keep working hard, and that she had us in her prayers. So today, I would like to just say to the family of Ms. Watler, we are so sorry for your tremendous loss, and we are all holding you up in our prayers. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me if I didn't offer a few words of condolence to Mr. Ryan, but before I do, I would also like to express condolences to a young Lighthouse School student who recently passed away, Ms. Kiara Hutchinson and her mother works as a civil servant, and so on behalf of the Ministry and the Department of Education Services, indeed all those present, I would like to offer her family our deepest condolences. Mr. Speaker, the vast majority of us as parents have no idea what it's like to have to raise a child with severe and multiple disabilities and the challenges that that brings with it. Needless to say, the death of a child is something that is still very unnatural in terms of the normal order of things. And so to her family, and indeed the entire Lighthouse School family, the principal and staff, we extend our deepest and heartfelt condolences. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to offer condolences to the family of Charlie Philip Ebanks, who was known to a lot of us as Rock, the Rock. He was also a civil servant, and he served the country admirably for many years. He was a young father. He was a young man. And Mr. Speaker, he had many, many friends. He was a very affable and popular young man who was known for his love of his family, his friends, his job, American football, love of his 49ers. I can remember now fondly passing through the customs, the immigration hall, and if he was there on duty, whispering to him, how you think those 49ers are going to do this year? He was a good Caymanian, a good man who's gone too soon. So on behalf of all of us, but in particular my colleagues from West Bay, we extend condolences to his family, in particular the Minister of Health, who's very close to a number of members of the family, in particular his aunts. And I know that she would have otherwise have wanted to rise, but I know that this is a very sensitive and moving time when we have to make these sort of condolences and declarations, especially for friends and families who are so young. Rest in peace, our friend. Rest in peace. Mr. Speaker, as a young legislator, I got to meet the man that the Minister of Home Affairs so ably described as a hero to him as a young boy. I don't have any such memories of Mr. Ryan. I got to meet him and see him in a very different context. I got to see him as the first official member, a full member of the then Legislative Assembly, and a full member of the then Executive Council. In those days, they were not ex officio of anything. They were full contributing and voting members of both bodies. And he took on that responsibility with great respect. He took on that responsibility in a way, Mr. Speaker, that for those who weren't here at the time might not realize how significant his impact was. Mr. Ryan took that role on in a way that I dare say probably will never be seen again in the history of this country. For indeed, when he demitted office, he ensured that he stayed true to who he was and how seriously he took on that role. And indeed, there will be some who would say that his departure was unconventional in terms of who succeeded him and how the upper echelons of government was reorganized at the time. And I can remember asking him pointedly, and the explanation he gave to me was quite profound, yet simple. He looked at me, And he said, Rolston, I could never do anything that I didn't believe in my conscience was the best for this country. And as a young legislator at the time, I was blown away, but it left an indelible mark on me around how public life should be executed. Mr. Ryan was a giant in that post. He served in that post for a long time, a decade, and indeed will be remembered as a great, great chief secretary. On a personal level, I, upon getting elected, then connected the dots because I worked at Price Waterhouse with his son, William. And William was a scholarship recipient like I was. And the impact of his parents, that is William's parents, upon him, left me and many others in the profession shocked. Because this young man was destined for greatness in our profession, but decided to take up missionary work. That doesn't just happen in a young person. That is something that is instilled in you from home. And I'm sure the work that Mr. Ryan and effort he put into raising all of his children shone through in that decision. Lastly, I would just like to say how every time I saw him, every time, I had to ask him, have you been fishing recently? And the last few times, he would say, no, can't get out like I used to anymore. But I know he loved the sea, loved being on the water, and he loved these Cayman Islands. He would always ask me, in particular in my 12 years out of office, what I was up to and whether I was going to get back at it. And he had that way of just giving you that shake of the head and the thrust of that hand. And he was one of those who encouraged me to not give up on elected politics. And indeed, ever since, every time I saw him, he would always inquire how things were going. And he always, always, always spoke so deeply about the care and love he had for the future of this country. Mr. Ryan cared and loved and was committed to our islands. He is a true giant among civil servants. He rose to the very top, but he never ever forgot from whence he came and the God that he served.
It be.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I will join voice with everything that has been said with regards to Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan was my headmaster in high school. He was my history teacher. He was my district commissioner. And as many Cayman Brackers were, we were happy and proud to see his rise in the civil service. And the last speaker is right. He never changed. No matter how high he climbed, he never changed. He was always the same person. And Mr. Speaker, I had the good fortune a few weeks back, probably a month or two back at this point, to actually speak with him before he passed. And I will never forget that moment. I really appreciated the time he allowed me to have and how positive he were and the memories that we shared. And I had a chance to say to him what I never did, which was his note that he sent to me on the passing of my father and the memories it contained and the stories it told about him and my dad and friends on the whatever kind of treat was with a guitar and singing and telling stories. I will never, ever forget that. So I would just say, sir, that my condolences to his entire family, to Miss Shirley, Laurie, Will, and everyone. He was a wonderful man. I also want to join with some who spoke before with regards to condolences to the family of Deborah and Huggins, the Huggins and Gunby family. I never thought, sir, that when I attended the funeral of Debbie's father about a year or so ago, that within a year I would be attending hers. And she was a wonderful lady. I got to know her when my daughters, Sarah and Hannah, attended St. Ignatius Catholic School. And she always looked out for all the children. So my sincere condolences again to her family. And Mr. Speaker, I've had too many occasions now over the past year to stand here and give condolences to the Webb family. They've lost several family members over the past year, and the passing of Linville Arnold Webb is another. And I wish to say publicly what I've said to them. My condolences. I saw them at the funeral, and it is very sad for that family, but again, just to pay respects to Mr. Webb, Linville Arnold Webb, I want to thank you again for the opportunity to say these few words. Thank you.
Member for Bordentown East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to add my condolences to the family of Mr. James Ryan. He was a friend of mine. He called me often, messaged me, and I met him first when I was at Cayman Airways while he was traveling back and forth. And we grew closer during the pandemic. When nobody could get masks, he had tons of them because I would actually drive to his house and take them for him. And I knew him as an honorable man. He always encouraged me and always telling me how proud he was of me. I can't tell of a time when I've ever saw him angry. Always smiling. And I wish the family God's blessings. Also, would like to offer my condolences to the family of Miss Laurel Watler, my grandmother's best friend, and grew up in the same church, same neighborhood. On her 100th birthday, she asked me to be there. I had to be there, she said, to celebrate her 100th birthday. And her son, Mr. Hardy, contacted me, ensured that I was coming. And again, when she passed, he called to say that Mama had passed. Gun Square resident, Cumber Avenue, same neighborhood. And I took the governor there a couple times on her birthdays as they came along. And she was always so positive, smiling with glee. May God comfort the family at this time. Also, I'd like to mention Sir Derek Frederick Westerberg, who I played football with. He was our goalkeeper in Bordentown Football Club for many, many years. Very ferocious. You don't come in his area. He controlled that area. And I also knew Sheena well. We graduated together. And Derek had great passion for this country. My condolences again to the family, and may God comfort them during this sad time.
Can we all stand and observe a minute of silence of respect to the dearly departed? Starting now. Thank you very much. Please be seated.
Raising of matters of privilege. Government business. Debate on the throne.
The House will be suspended until 2:30.